Good morning, everyone. Hungry Black Man here.
Hello, Tracey here. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. I really hope everyone had a really amazing Juneteenth. Right? That was such an incredible, very incredible weekend for us, celebrating this holiday that historically has gone a bit unnoticed, and so that's something that it was really warming to my heart because we have been doing Juneteenth celebrations for 9 years, and we had great buy-in. Right, our festivals were always well attended, but on a mass level, we didn't really have a lot of folks that were really celebrating the holiday like that. And Trump got on stage and said that Juneteenth is famous because of him.
Made it famous.
But in so many ways, Trump's evilness has allowed for Black people to become more unified. And, that's a really interesting sort of outcome from this guy being such a sleazebag. But anyway, we're going to get into our conversation today. And we're going to first start with our Karen report. This Karen report is out of Texas, where this woman is going bananas on a guy in a Walmart parking lot. This is part of our ongoing coverage of the pandemic of Karens that is really plaguing this nation.
Walmart.
And so here you guys go. This is a Karen in a Walmart losing it after she called this man out of his name. And we're going to let you guys hear this, and then we're going to start our show. So this is our Karen for June 22nd. We've had a Karen every single day.
Every day.
Every single day. There you go.
Go ahead. Wet back saying motherfucking sucking.
Oh my God.
There you go. There you go.
Enjoy it. Go back where you came from.
There you go. What's your name,
You're
Snooki?
rude in this country.
There you go. That's the type of I love.
Enjoy it, Facebook.
That's the type of I love.
I'm sure you do, you piece of foreigner.
Oh, see the town crackheads. Look at them. Good old see the town crackheads.
So
Not a goddamn crackhead.
she's back.
I have my own goddamn business.
Okay.
Have my own crackhead.
I knocked the shit out the bitch.
What's your name?
Run some more stop signs, you piece of
All right.
I'm warning you.
She
Why are you
said,
touching yourself? Go ahead. I wish you would.
What's that tag?
It's the tag number. Great memory. Go. Someone about running a stop at Walmart, and she's over here tripping balls about that, which I didn't. But
all right, guys, there's our Karen report for June 22nd. Now we're going to transition.
Oh, I see now. That's how they're getting videos.
Who's that?
Well, the end of that where it said they pay cash for videos, because I like, who, where are these things coming from? But now there's a greater incentive to do the videos because Daily Mail is paying you for them. It makes good sense.
So that was our Karen report for today. Now we're going to go to another disturbing report out of the sport of NASCAR. For those of you who don't know, NASCAR is pushing to be more inclusive and diverse. They've been known to have a number of fans that adorn the stands with hate-filled memorabilia, specifically the Confederate flag. And Bubba Wallace, who who is one of the top NASCAR drivers in the top circuit, but the only and sole African-American or Black NASCAR driver, was speaking out, as he should, on reform and having those horrible, hate-filled, iconic messages removed, and fans not to be able to wave a terroristic flag in the stand. So he found a noose in his garage on, I believe, yesterday or this weekend, which is very disrespectful given the fact that it was Juneteenth weekend. So we know that it was deliberate. So I wanted to show you guys what's happening with that, so that we can all of these things can make sense as we have our conversation today. And good morning to everyone that's chiming in. All right.
Why can't I see people? I don't see people.
Was found in the garage of driver Bubba Wallace. He is the only top-tier Black driver in NASCAR. He pushed NASCAR to ban the Confederate flag just 2 weeks ago. CNN's Diane Gallagher is live in Atlanta with more. So what's going on here, Diane?
Yeah, well, John, look, it shouldn't be too hard for NASCAR to find out who did this, or at least narrow it down quickly, because the area where this was found, the garage stall, is limited to essential personnel only right now due to the pandemic. So everyone in the area had some form of a credential, be they NASCAR staff, team members, health and safety personnel, track officials. Now, NASCAR made this announcement late last night, and I want to read to you part of their statement. They said, "We are angry and outraged. We cannot state strongly enough how seriously we take this heinous act. We've launched an immediate investigation and will do everything we can to identify the person or persons responsible and eliminate them from the sport." Now, Bubba Wallace took to Twitter shortly after that, saying in part, "Today's despicable act of racism and hatred leaves me incredibly saddened and serves as a painful reminder of how much further we have to go as a society and how persistent we must be in the fight against racism. This will not break me. I will not give in, nor will I back down. I will continue to proudly stand for what I believe in." Now, look, Bubba Wallace, as you mentioned, called for the Confederate flag to be banned from NASCAR tracks. NASCAR followed suit this month. This was the first race, or supposed to be the first race. It was postponed until 3 p.m. today due to weather, where fans could come back and watch. 5,000 fans were going to be allowed into the track to watch. Again, it got postponed today. Outside of the track, there were demonstrations. John, people who had Confederate flags outside. Somebody flew over with an airplane with a Confederate flag behind it saying defund NASCAR. But look, he's received a lot of support. LeBron James, even Dale Jr. saying, "I hope Bubba wins today."
All right. So that was what's happening. Good morning, everyone, to everyone saying good morning. That was what happened over the weekend at NASCAR. Now, we've seen over this weekend a number of unfortunate sort of racial issues. And one of the things that we want to point out is that the dismissiveness of our concerns was highlighted at a school board meeting in Baton Rouge, as you saw with NASCAR saying that that they're trying to find someone. But if that was a swastika, on there, they would have found them the same day. There's cameras in the garage. There's more than enough technology in the elite garage area of these NASCAR drivers to have found that person within an hour. And so I love the fact, just like the racist woman that went on a rampage last week in the park, and the chief of police was saying that they're looking for her. And I mean, the woman was over 65 years old. And I'm like, how fast can she go? And they're still looking for her, right now, they're still looking for her. So we're going to show you guys the clip of the gentleman that blasted a very dismissive school board member in Baton Rouge. And I can definitely understand how upset he was, because, there's nothing worse than being, just being totally dismissed for things that are very hurtful and things that are extremely emotional that affects us, right? So we're going to show you guys that clip if you haven't seen it. It's been around, but we wanted to show you guys just a clip so that you can be aware of what we're discussing. 1 second, guys.
And I sent you a funny follow-up.
Intended to get up here and talk about how racist Robert E. Lee was, but
Oh, beautiful girl. I know. I heard the food girl.
Presented to work out the details, but we also presented that we'll be doing a hybrid approach, so that you don't necessarily have to choose to homeschool your baby if she.
1 second, guys.
Good morning, Donald Jackson and Anthony Malcolm, Sandy, Justin, Yolanda. How y'all doing?
All right, guys. Sorry about that.
I had intended to get up here and talk about how racist Robert E. Lee was, but I'm going to talk about you, Connie. Sitting over there shopping while we talking about Robert E. Lee.
Oh.
Sure, you shopping while we talking about racism and history in this country. Only white members of this board got up while we were up here talking, too, because you don't give a damn. And it's clear. But I'm going to tell you what the slaves, my ancestors, said about Robert E. Lee, since you don't know history, sister. Let me tell you that they said when he got the plantation, after he got off the field where 27,000 people died at Gettysburg, Connie, Robert E. Lee was a brutal slave master. Not only did when he whooped the slaves, he said, lay it on them hard. After he said, lay it on them hard, he said, put brine on them so it'll burn them. That's what Robert E. Lee did. And you set your arrogant self in here and sit on there shopping while the pain and the hurt of the people of this community is on display, because you don't give a damn and you should resign. You should have resigned 2 years ago when you choked a white man in his house. You should have resigned 2 weeks ago when you got on TV and said foolishness. And you should walk out of here and resign and never come back, because you are the example of racism in this community. You are horrible. Now to the rest of the board. You have an obligation to the people of this community.
I love it.
81% of them are black. And do you need a Klan rally outside, Mr. Goday, before you end it? Because holding it up means that you put that building in jeopardy. You do, sir. Because all over the country, they're burning stuff down. And black folks in this city have stood with protesters. I ain't seen you elected officials out there with them, making sure that nothing goes south in Baton Rouge. It's been folks in this community who give a damn, not just when it's comfortable, but every time. And 4 years ago, we came down here. Mr. Drake, they say you're a good man. Be a good man. Black folks say you're a good man. White folks say you're a good man. Your legacy is attached to tonight, brother. Your legacy. Now, let me say to the black members of the board, it's the most solidarity I've seen out of y'all in forever. Let's stand on this moving forward, because we don't need to apologize for Connie, Evelyn. She showed you who she was when she was sitting next to you while you were talking shop. You don't need another example. Now, when do we as Baton Rouge stop being in 1856? If you want to name the building after somebody, how about PBS Pitchback, the first black governor of the state of Louisiana, when he was governor during Reconstruction? You want another name? Oscar Dunn, who was the lieutenant governor of the state of Louisiana in the 1860s, that gave the right for Darius Landis and Don Collins and Evelyn Ware Jackson and Tremel Howard to get here. You want to name it after somebody from Reconstruction? Name it after the people who fought for abolition of slavery. If you want to name it after somebody, honor the right people, the people who are on the right side of history. But it's your ancestor that the school is named after. So you're holding on to your heritage. But we built this joint for free. And we're done begging you to do what's right. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Brad Garden Community.
You know, there's definitely, I don't know if you guys realize this, but there's definitely a movement and an awakening of our people that is so fucking refreshing. Yep. And it's happening all over. Someone said he said that like Uncle Ruckus. You know, it's really happening all over the nation. And I really like the fact that what we see is folks not backing down. And what else we see is folks that are consistent. Yeah. And so that's the key. We feel in Miami, especially in South Florida, right, that a lot of times how we approach power structures, right, our school board, our county commission, you know, you really have folks that would go off on them and then they wouldn't show back up. And then whatever it is that you're trying to change, you know, it doesn't change. Well, you know, over this weekend, we had been all collectively praying for a Juneteenth celebration and a national holiday. And I'm proud to report, if you guys haven't heard, that the Senate filed a bill to make Juneteenth a federal holiday with the support of Texas Republican senator, which is massive. And so that bill more than likely will pass the Senate, and then it'll go to the House, which is full of racists. So hopefully it doesn't die in the House. All right. Our next video, our last video for the first half, is on the gentleman who, well, not a gentleman, the murderer who assisted in the murder of George Floyd, was spotted in Walmart. And this is another example of how black people really have had it, right? Like this, you know, the shaming of these people is critical to keeping them accountable. And so when you saw George Zimmerman, none of this happened to him. He was just going about the country just as free, and never saw a video like this. And this should tell you that times are changing when you see videos like this. So let me share this with you guys if you haven't seen this. This young queen would not allow this murderer.
Not on my watch.
All right, guys, here you go.
What's your name?
Oh, yeah, that's me.
It is you. So you're out of prison,
Yes.
and you're comfortably shopping in Cub Foods, as if you didn't do anything.
I wouldn't call it comfortably. I would say getting necessities or helping.
I don't think you should have that right. I don't even think you should be out on bail.
I can understand.
I mean, how does it feel?
Sorry you feel that.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to comfortably go around Minnesota like this. I pulled up the picture. I knew it was you. It's just like he was there when they were killing him. And it's just like, this is crazy that you're here just thinking everything's okay.
Just living your life.
You don't want to apologize. You don't want to say anything. Like, no. Because this video is going to be on the internet. Yeah, he has the nerve to literally come outside thinking that we don't know what he looks like. How dare you? You're not going to be able to comfortably live in Minnesota after this, or anywhere. And you will be going back to jail. Trust.
I love this.
Yeah, he bailed out. How'd you get the money? And you're lucky that they don't have your address. You're lucky that they don't have your address. This is one of the police officers that was involved in he was out on
That's something for you right there. Oh, right, Malcolm?
What? I mean, that was so life-giving.
Okay.
That was so, and it's always black women.
Always.
It's always black women. Black women there are warriors. That's crazy. Like, she was not having that
at all, period. You're not about to just kill that man. We watch it and you're just gonna walk around and shop like it's a normal day. No, it'll never be a normal day for us again. Never. She's lucky she didn't call her friends and tell her the rest of the day. Okay.
You know, and it's so incredible.
Yes, Trevor.
No, and I love it. When black women have such an amazing ability to keep people accountable. Mm-hmm. You know, and so I think that that was glaring. The fact that he was, I mean, of course, you're going through a court case, you can't say too much, but he could have definitely demonstrated, even for his case, right? Mm-hmm. More sincere, even slightly remorseful, and not about, you know, just I mean, she wouldn't have been able to do what she did had he been able to handle that in a manner that at least showed his humanity. Like, he just was like, I'm shopping. I mean, it's crazy how he kept his beard and every fucking thing. And so,
because actually it isn't, because in his mind, you know, I mean, think about how many other people they killed that we just don't know about. Do you know what I'm saying?
This is
that was the culmination of something, but that's happened before. You know it is. You know it has. And that is the, that's where we are. But and it'll always be in the spirit of our sister Harriet Tubman. There will always be a Black woman who comes to be like, not today, Satan. Not today. He's not getting away with this one. No, sir. And that's where we are right now. Now, we did not, speaking of that Black woman, Beyonce, have you listened to Black Parade yet?
No, I don't really listen to Beyonce like that.
And this is now the Jill Tracey show. Starex has left the room.
Oh, God. I didn't
listen to Black Parade. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, who might be, in his camp, Beyonce dropped, a new anthem on Friday. It's called Black Parade. It is flawless. We're going to play it.
No, they'll kick us off.
Oh shit, that's right.
That's what happened to us last time.
Happened to our spectacular. Oh my, yeah. When we played the Grind on Me, they kicked us off. So can you take the audio out on my YouTube?
No, it's fixed. It's fixed.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, you'll have to go. Haven't heard it. Okay, so she talks about. Yeah. Thank you, Trevor. Yeah, we need reparations for our people. If you haven't listened to it, you can go. It's on YouTube, any of your streaming services. Those of you who have Tidal, which I adore, which was Jay-Z's, but he sold it. That's another story. Anyway, it's gonna take you several listens to that song before you get all of the words. 'Cause it's a lot. She and Jay-Z wrote this song together, and Dixie, the guy who directed and edited Homecoming, her Emmy-nominated special. I think she won one award. Anyway, they all worked on this together. It is just so rich and thick and dripping with all things beautiful and Black empowerment. She talks about reparations. She talks about Oshun and Yemaya. She talks about how she charges her crystals under a full moon. There's so many references. There's so many parts of our culture.
Can she talk about how many Black people she hires? Can she talk about?
I don't know if she didn't.
Can she talk about she used her fame to influence policy that actually changed? Yes, I'm just over them.
Why is that?
I need them to do real shit. All of this is equivalent. All of this stuff is equivalent to me of those white people that are walking around with those nooses around their necks and sitting on the ground and whipping themselves and trying to have some weird camaraderie or connection with slavery. And these are acts of pointless solidarity. And what I want them to stop doing is pointless symbolism and giving us these every 6 month emotional drives of musical explosion that then doesn't have any real action lined against it. I believe their track record.
Foundation and go to Jay's foundation, and you'll see the work that they're doing.
I've been to their foundation, and I'm letting you know,
all money for this single is going to fund small Black businesses.
So when we look at the outcomes of what they do, Jill, right? It's never there. The outcomes aren't there. And one of the things that we're working on, and we're working on this, and no one ever wants to talk about the empiricism behind all of these so-called actions of demonstrations of Black solidarity and unity. And it's not that I think it's a great song if it's a good song, and I'll listen to it for that purpose, right? And I think that's their worth. I think their worth is that they serve as symbolisms for Black success and Black family, and that's needed. And I think that that's a really good thing. But what I would like to see is more of a robust effort to either start helping our people to get off Facebook, start helping our people to do the thing, right? Because like Facebook is literally snuffing out the voice of the Black race, right? Everything that we talk about, you can say the N word without impunity, but if you say the C word, you're going to be banned. You're going to be in Facebook jail. You got a guy that is now silencing Black voices. And then they put out another thing saying that they can't show in the future like a George Floyd style murder, that they're stomping down on you know, showing acts of violence. And I think that that is so disrespectful. And I think that people like Jay-Z and Beyonce have so much influence and connections and power that they really could start a social platform for us to matriculate the same way that he bought Tidal, and he was doing a good job with trying to empower Black artists and so on and so forth. And so I'm not attacking them in any way. I just get a little upset. No. I just get a little upset at the fake. I don't like that fake symbolism.
No, I don't. I disagree completely, because everybody, you know, gets in where they fit in, and they are artists. First of all, they're artists. Nobody expected. You expect that they put out art that inspires others to action, and if they, in their private lives, with all of their incredible wealth, then pour back into our communities, then damn it, they did the damn thing. However, it is not, and I will grant you that our current celebrity class is not as activated as the previous one before them, that they all need to sit down and bow their knees at the feet of Harry Belafonte and Quincy Jones and learn how you really do move the needle and sell records at the same time. I agree with you on that. However, I don't dismiss them in whole cloth that they're not doing anything. I think that, you know, we did that to Jay-Z. We still haven't really seen the results of him being on that NFL on the board.
His bank account saw the result.
We didn't see that. We got Shakira and Jennifer Lopez as his first act for the Super Bowl. So there's a lot there, but at the same time, I do believe that if he is able to get Colin on the board of the NFL and not in a jersey, then will wash all that other shit away. Do you see what I'm saying? So we have to let them work in their time, but we can't dismiss them in whole cloth. I'm not.
I didn't, Jill. I did not dismiss them. What I am saying is that the age of sensationalist symbolism or cultural appropriation, even within our own race, has to end. I think that the way—
where are you seeing cultural appropriation with Jay-Z and Beyonce?
I think that a lot—
they don't walk in that walk. Come on now.
No, I think a lot of what they do, I think a lot of what Jay-Z does is disingenuous. I think that he doesn't truly work on behalf of truly liberating Black people. And if you move in a manner that, you know, one of the things that we do on this level is research, you know, and we research and we have to be able to show outcomes. And so my whole thing with this show, with partnering with you and how we move, right? We literally have to have outcomes. So if my goal is to eliminate poverty in a particular geographic area and I was a failure, I have to look at why I was a failure. And then I have to build resources around that so that we can be successful. And that's really what we need from that level of wealth, right? We need them to truly be stewards and supporters of how we actually get our people from one space to another. And it's never laser focused. And so right now it's really important for all of us to know and rally behind Charles Booker, right? Who is the Black Democrat running against Mitch McConnell. And so when Jay-Z and Beyonce lends themselves and their fame to that and say, listen, we are going to Kentucky and we are highlighting this race and we are going to put all of our fame and our resources behind this individual, because guess what? That race is almost more important than President Obama's presidential race in the sense of what can get done. Because once you get Mitch McConnell out of there, you got the Klan, you got the Grand Wizard of the Klan out of the Senate finally. You know, and so
I grant you that that's true.
And so what I'm saying is that you saw Sammy Davis Jr., you saw Muhammad Ali, you saw these folks using their fame to really move the needle of our great civil rights leaders. And I don't see that happening from the entertainment royalty that's Black in this nation. I just see a sort of over and over example of, you know, everything you just said, which is great symbolism, right? And I think that it moves the needle in pop culture. It exposes our culture to be appropriated now, because now little white girls are going to start doing crystals, and they're going to walk around with Oshun t-shirts, and they're going to be able to monetize. They're going to be able to monetize, you know, our culture. And I think that somehow really can backfire, and it destroys who we are, right? In the sense of having something for us, because what happens is you start to commercialize and popularize something that's sacred to us. And I don't see that. I don't see people dancing in pop songs about Muhammad, dancing in pop songs about the Upanishads, about the Hindi goddess Ganesh. And so when you start trivializing a very, very serious religion and the Orishas and talking about what they mean to us,
but see, that's what we jump so 7 steps ahead. I just said you got to listen to that song like 20 times to hear what she's saying. So we don't know that she is trivializing it, and nothing would make me happier than seeing a whole bunch of little girls run around with t-shirts with Oshun and Yemaya on them.
And I agree. Yeah. And I agree.
So, you know what I'm saying? It just, everybody's approach to it is different, and I think that. Yes, there's two. You and I had that conversation before, that back then there were platforms that they could get together on, and white folks couldn't listen. They weren't in the room. So that's why, you know, I told you I was working with Desmond Meade on a project he was going to do. It ended up not happening, but in it, I was researching, you know, Black radio and politics from 1943 to 1968, and why, because my thesis is that, you know, we made more progress in that space of time than we have ever since. And one of the most glaring avenues of why we did that is because we had spaces where they were not able to access. So we were able to do things inclusively that were just us, for us, by us. We don't really have those spaces anymore. Literally none. I can't think of a Black-owned radio station, TV station, none of that. Do you know what I'm saying? And so, you know, with all these other eyes, you know, on our plate, it's hard to get, you like are kind of moving, you know, in silence and behind the scenes right on stage. Do you know what I'm saying? There doesn't, but I agree with you completely. That does not mean you stop the mission. You just got to find another way to make it happen.
Yeah, I just think that the way that Black leadership has, you know, people jump down Nancy Pelosi's throat and all those white folks kneeling on the ground with those kente cloths, but that's what our own people do. Our own people do that stuff. We'll walk around and wear these dashikis and get together in the Congressional Black Caucus. And the Congressional Black Caucus has failed us miserably. The Congressional Black Caucus did not ensure the dollars that were reaching our communities were reached during the stimulus that happened during Barack Obama's presidency. Both stimulus packages did nothing to move the needle with industries within Black America. There was no robust effort to increase the number of Black farmers and to remedy the things that has happened to them. That was not done. When you look at protecting Black women, Frederica Wilson was on her by herself, trying to single-handedly get those Black girls out of fucking Nigeria from Boko Haram, and there was no effort from the Black Caucus to support her in a meaningful fashion. They are disjointed, and we continue to not have criticisms on them because that's what they do. They'll walk around in these daishikis and these fucking all these little symbolisms, and Maxine Waters will bring her ass on there and his auntie Maxine, and she's all great, and that woman's voting record is terrible. And we don't say anything, but because they do this stuff, right? And then when you speak out against them, then you are now, oh my God, you're problematic now, Starex. Like the gentleman said when I was going crazy on One United Bank. We have to stop this shit. We have to call a spade, Jill.
Yes, I do believe that. And I also believe now one of the biggest problems, first of all, shouts out to Nike Abadeo. You see her? Adebayo. Nike, that is one of the ways that you get engaged. Nike is running for judge. We now know nothing is really in this cycle more important than judges. So
who's running for judge?
You see Olanike Adebayo.
No.
Her comment is at 9:59.
Okay, 9:59.
Who's running for judge? Nika, if you could put the information up where people can learn more about you in this thread, that would be great. Those are the kind of things that we need to do in these spaces when we have this kind of access, is make sure that people know, and you go find out about those people and you tell 2 friends and so on and so on. That's how, there she is. You know, that's how we're going to hand make these changes. I think that,
you gotta hold them accountable, Jill.
Yes, completely and totally. And I think to answer your question though, or your statement, you know, what I did find as well as once the doors of, you know, the civil rights movement really opened, there was, just like in this moment, there wasn't really a plan. Like, what now? We have fought, we got what we wanted. Okay, now what's next? I did an interview. It's on that old tape, so I have to get it transferred, but hopefully I can find some place that'll do that. And I'd love to share some of it here with Ozzie Davis, and I asked him, you know, are we at the place in terms of Hollywood? Are we at the place yet where we can greenlight a film where Black people can actually take an idea to the screen, all Black, by us, for us? And this was 15 years ago about, and he said, we are not even at the place where the door is yet. So when you talk about starting at a 200-year deficit, and you talk about we spent all our time and energy building all of this for somebody else, and then we built our own and they burnt it down. And then you have a constant missive that is, how do we destroy these communities? How do we keep our working #slave class in line? That is Mitch McConnell. That must be his everyday. He must wake up and stir his coffee with that every day. Do you know what I'm saying? And we just, as a people, we really not concerned about that every day, all day. And, you know, and I don't think it's a fault of ours. I do think that we need to be more concerned about our protection, because we do. I don't know where that level of benevolence comes from, that no matter what people do, we will forgive. And that Black woman will always be the one to lead the charge to forgive. And I don't think we need to lose that. I think that, though, in addition to that, you know, we need a Starex to be like, okay, that's real nice, but these are the things that we need, and we have got to go get them. You know what I'm saying? I agree with you completely, because there is a balance that has to happen, and it's not right now.
No, and people asked about Byron Allen, and, you know, Byron Allen he dropped his case at the Supreme Court level, but for those folks who don't know, Byron Allen is a businessman who owns several channels and several, including the Weather Channel. And his lawsuit stated that he was upset that he felt that Comcast in its bundle packaging did not include his channels because he was Black. And so he had to prove that in court. And I think that was a very hard thing to prove. I remember reading on it, and I said, he's going to lose this. It's going to be very difficult for him to prove that empirically, because more than likely it happened. And most times when we suffer in that manner, it is hard to prove. However, they dropped the case from the Supreme Court level, but Comcast agreed to take 3 of his channels, which included Comedy TV, Recipe TV, and Justice Central TV on their network. And then they also went ahead and got the Weather Channel extended as well. But now my thing is, Byron Allen is you know, a lot of folks were posting him and his white wife and his white, you know, so they were saying that he
I didn't know his wife was.
Yeah, he has a white wife. And you know, it's really hard for Black men when they reach.
We're going to have that discussion in here at some point. We need to have that discussion in here at some point.
I mean, the white wife thing is, Yeah. I mean, the white wife thing is really hard sometimes.
That's what we call it too, the white wife thing. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard sometimes because, you know, black women, you know, there's more than enough black women out here that are amazing and that can be wifed, you know. However, I don't want to get into that right now because that'll just go crazy. But as far as
go on that one.
Yeah, we will. We can do that this week. I mean, you can do a white wife episode once a week for the next year, and it's so much to unpack there. But yeah, so I remember they were trying to discredit him with his white wife and putting their posters all around so that folks can be like, okay, well, this guy doesn't stand for black people. But I don't care about that. I care about where his money goes now. Like Robert Smith, the billionaire, he's married to a white woman, and he is incredibly involved financially in the liberation of black people. And so if his love choice or whatever was a white woman, but he's giving his self and his wealth to our people, then I'm fine with that. I don't care. But Byron Allen, you know, folks really didn't know where he came out of, you know, so he came out of nowhere and started talking about all his channels, and he wanted all these black people to rally behind him. But black Byron Allen, what have you done for black people, and how many people work at these stations that are black that you are creating, and how many black programming are you going to have on all those 3 channels that was picked up by Comcast?
Well, I will tell you that his app, I was all excited to see his local news app. Have you seen it yet?
I haven't.
Anyway, I downloaded the thing, and yeah, it has nothing to I downloaded the one from Miami, and it's tone deaf. It has absolutely nothing to do with black folks in Miami. I mean, it literally is. It's really sad, and it's just.
Nah. It is.
You all haven't seen it. I mean, I downloaded it. I looked at it. I was like, wow, something like what we're doing. You know, it's a lot of people in this space doing stuff that would be great. High-Low News to be on that app if you want, because it's the same idea. It's bringing to you what's happening in these local markets. But it's just some feed he's getting off of, I don't know, AP or something. It has absolutely nothing to do with black folks in Miami. It's horrible. It's just, you know.
You know, I think that when we come to a point in our lives, someone said most of the civil rights icons back in the day had white wives. That would be an interesting conversation. Yeah, I mean, I think that when you look at, someone said, I think I've like one channel comedy. Someone said, great question, Stars. What exactly has these channels of his done within ranks up to promote representation? I don't think that it's done anything. I think Byron Allen has been very like he's been a non-factor in black anything. I mean, Byron Allen came out of nowhere and wanted all this black support around him, you know, going after the Supreme Court for racism. And so if you're now saying that Comcast discriminated against you because you were black, you got to have some black programming. You got to have some black stars, some black up and coming, like what Spectacular is doing. And if you guys, please, we're gonna boost that show, because Spectacular just really did a great job exposing, you know, this idea of like these celebrities and these, you know, these representations of areas of blackness that you would think that they are for you. And in reality, in the background, there's not a black face in sight. You know, they don't even have a black driver, you know. And so I want to be able to see through these people and put our support where it needs to go.
You know, it's an interesting question, too. You know, when you said that, you know, I'm thinking about Tyler Perry and how much grief he caught for his content.
Right.
But he quietly didn't pay any attention to that. And he went ahead and saved his money and built the largest film studio production lot in the country.
Yeah.
On what is it? 15 acres, 21 acres, something like that in Atlanta. And black, let's say elite bourgeoisie, just calls him every kind of coon in the country. And what did he do? He turned around and named his studios after some of those very people who poo-pooed his movies.
Yeah.
And so it kind of begs the question that, are we too critical of each other? Do you know what I mean?
You have two schools, Jill. You have the coons that are attack the other coons and they don't even realize they're coons, when you're just like Cornel West and Tavis Smiley, right? When they just was attacking President Obama in such a visceral manner, and they weren't. It's a difference when you hold them accountable, right? So if you wanted to hold President Obama accountable, it's a manner to do that, right? When this man is obviously in office, and that was not the time to do that, right? If you now can have an audience with the president and backdoor channels and then go off on him, you know, that's fine. But the way that they did it was just so visceral and negative. And so, of course, every black person now, like, for instance, Obama got a lot of heat when he came out with that fucking memo talking about here's the memo on how to protest and all this other bullshit. People were like, fuck out of here with your memo, right? So now we have the opportunity to deal with that, because like President Obama, you shouldn't have said shit, right? You should have let your wife do that, right? You wouldn't have said that to Michelle, but you were in the office for 8 years, and the only thing you said, you didn't do any executive orders for, I'm not going to attack him. So anyway, I think there is a difference in holding our people accountable and being unnecessarily critical. And so for Tyler Perry, you can look at my back videos. You know, I've always said the very, very passive aggressively, but it's true. I said, you cannot discredit the worth of Tyler Perry to our people. However, I am not a fan of his movies. However, I find myself laughing at them. So at the end of the day, it is a reflection, even though it's stereotypical, it's a reflection of our culture. There's a lot in Tyler Perry movies that are unfortunately or fortunately real, you know.
Like almost all of them are. And I agree with you, because some of, and you know, it's, as you were talking, it makes me think about, like, what is that? What is that visceral effect that we have when he does Medea? You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows a Big Mama, maybe not that aggressive, but it's a caricature that he's doing. Yes. But we know the spirit of where it came from. What is that, you know,
speaks to us?
Right. And that we feel like we don't, like, why are you doing us like that? Do you know what I'm saying? Because that
I'm lost to what you're saying.
A lot of people, you know, like I said, the bourgeoisie think, oh, that's tacky. He's cooning. He might as well put on blackface. You know, that is it. They don't come down to those that would appreciate, let's say, fences, then throw Tyler under the bus. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like somehow you can't appreciate both in the spaces they inhabit. You know what I'm saying? But when you really deal with it, when we're talking about Black empowerment, Tyler is about it. All that money he made, spent, all that was his.
No, and
you know,
and you think it was,
and Viola got paid, and they was probably the only one of a few on that set that got paid. You see what I'm saying?
No, I agree. I think that one of the things I saw that was very upsetting was when Tyler's opened that studio, and it was just this resurgence of attack on him. I was like, well, you know, where were you when he was making these movies that were horrible 7 years ago? Like, you weren't even talking about him. All of a sudden now they jumped down his throat for that movie that he did on Netflix. And it was unfortunate because there's so many movies where there are bloopers, and there are bloopers, and there's things that you know, that are wrong in the after editing of these films, and people were just highlighting them and sharing them. It was equivalent to the assault that I see on Black-owned restaurants when they do something wrong, but Houstons can do the exact same thing, and you sit there and praise them and eat that fucking food, and you don't say shit. You know, so like that was my thing, you know, and so now instead of that, the way that I look at it, Jill, if I don't have an example of like a Jay-Z example of how you demonstrated that you made a big mistake and what you said when you were like, the time for kneeling is over, and it gave a little window into your capitalistic mind, and now the attack can come freely. Tyler Perry hasn't done that. Tyler Perry has never left his mantra of Black empowerment within the cinematic field, right? Like, I don't like, the movie's A Fall from Grace. I don't like the fact that Tyler's stereotypical representation of women is out there. But this woman said Tyler's representation of Black women is dated and stereotypical, not a true representation, but caricatures. He also needs to diversify his writers to stop telling the same story.
Okay, so Layla, I will offer you that. Think of every woman in a Tyler Perry movie and tell me that you don't know at least one person like that. When we say stereotypical, we need to start really, dealing with what stereotypical means. Because I know women like that. Do you know what I'm saying? I may not choose to highlight them in their deficits. You know what I'm saying? That may not make that character my muse. For some reason, Tyler Perry has 9 times out of 10. I've never interviewed Tyler Perry, but 9 times out of 10 is because those are the examples of women he grew up with. That's what he knows. And that's why he's able to translate that so well. And that's how we were able to receive it, because we know women like that. You may not be that woman, but you know somebody like that.
But I think that what the Queen's saying is that, he has the ability to show a wide range of. But
does he? That's what I'm saying.
I don't think he does, right? I don't think he does. I think he focuses on the hyper stereotypical view of Black women with the honey child and all of this stuff. And
she just said it, but she said the same thing. Layla said, I do, but I typically try not to associate with them, unless they're family. But we know them, you know what I'm saying? And that's what he is, just in that space. And I don't know, there may be something around like when he was living in his car. And I don't know his full backstory, but I bet you some of it had to do with, those women not standing up for him when he needed them. And so this is the image that he has of them, and he knows it sells because we all know somebody like that.
Well, I think that the brother here, Arkman, said something that is important. He said, I think we know that Tyler tells the story of a particular segment of the Black community. Mm-hmm. He can tell those stories. We just need other Black stories from other Black makers. And that's the thing. Like, I was like, why is he writing everything? Like, your writing is very, very basic, very pedestrian. And so you aren't creating stories that are going to push the cinematic feel to a level where people are going to praise you for your writing abilities, right? Like, that's not one of his, that's not one of his strong suits. So it's like, okay, you've created a space now. So Tyler, let's get in the professionals, and not that you're not a professional, but let's get the professionals in, the Jordan Peels of the world, to start really creating masterpieces.
And you know what it takes to watch. That's not gonna happen for Tyler Perry.
You don't think so?
No. If you watch him on T.I.'s podcast, the name of it it'll come to me in a minute. But he did a great interview with T.I. on his podcast. He speaks exactly to what you're just talking about.
Interesting.
Watch that, yes, and it'll tell you that whole story. And I can't, he is one of the richest Black celebrities in the world. And I just can't. It's not the way I would tell stories. And I can't hate on how he's telling his stories. I can't. And I just have to know that in the, in history, maybe the young people, Layla, that come after us will be able to dissect that, in a way, and maybe they won't know those women. You know what I'm saying?
Someone said, white people, I'll read Julia's statement. Julia said, never. He gives back. Had it not been for our Black brothers and sister audiences, the results would have been different. Tyler thanks us all the time. And oh no, I don't think that the question is whether or not he's thankful. I think that his philanthropic activities far exceed many others that are in the field, and he's done an incredible job at giving back. So yeah, someone said, Yolanda said, white people are watching as well, and there's danger of those stories further solidifying stereotypes of Blacks in their minds, if that matters. I like the fact that you put "if that matters," because I'm so over what white people think about me. So I mean, they're trying to project something that you want them to feel and understand always falls on deaf ears and blind eyes with them, because that's not going to be sustainable to knock against anything. It's going to be the same way that that's the Beyonce Jay-Z worth, right? That's their worth. When they put out these songs and they become popular, it carries a message that otherwise would never have reached their room. So they may learn about the Orishas. They may learn about the fact that, you know, a large percentage of Black folks outside of the United States still have some remnants of their African identity and their African religions, right? And so the Gullah Geechee people, along with the people that are in parts of New Orleans, a lot of them, they did maintain a lot of their African identity. And so some of the things that they're singing about, we still have those old gods prayed to, and in many African-American enclaves. And I think that that's something that's very interesting, and they do a very good job at demonstrating that. Someone said he needs women and other Black writers and to add nuance to his art. Someone said, my background is Dominican and we have similar women, but it represents our background and our humble background. Someone said, I'm so grateful for this chat right now. It's so beneficial. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. This person said, always playing Blacks as clowns and buffoons. So no one else does. Name another star on his level to give back so often. What is your advice for Black writers in theater? What would you like to see? So that's a very good question.
That's a very good question, Christine.
Right. So what I would like to see is not just imitations of the less of us, right? Not imitations of us being drug dealers and power and murderers and all of these just hyper sensationalized caricatures of reflections of either Black criminal romanticizing or Black salacious perversion romanticizing. I would like to see areas where Atlanta writer, who did an incredible job with the show Atlanta, shows a side of Black culture that shows a side of Black culture that's so freaking balanced, so artistic. And so when you look at what he's done and the way that he writes, and you look at the Jordan Peels, I love seeing the angle as a Black nerd. I like to see my story told. And that was something that we never had. I think Spike Lee was a black nerd, but he portrayed himself as if he wasn't. You know, it was his movies were just so interesting in that respect. So I would like to see balance. I would like to see the stories of, you know, our people who are in spaces that are not stereotypical shared. And I think that brings light into the amount of people that are represented by these characters, right? So the guy in Atlanta, you know, he's a nerd. He's very intelligent. The main character is very intelligent, but he can't find a stable job because he's pursuing this goal of representing his cousin, who's a rapper, and in the music world. And it shows an interesting dynamic of all of the representations of Atlanta. I think Atlanta is a great representation of Black America because it's success out of
genius,
right? It's
coming back. What happened? I was like, it's love it.
Yeah, it's coming back. So, you know, someone said Queen Sugar displays so much depth in Black family dynamics. Give us more of that.
Queen Sugar is great too. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, but you know, and then you know, even the shows of the '90s, they were so prolific in the sense that they knocked against stereotypes and they discussed real world issues intertwined within the shows, right? So I would like to see more of that. I mean, I think Blackish is a well-written show. I think he failed with the show that he tried to do on HBO. That was an epic failure.
Right. I think that is why he has actors and he is a writer. He's not on screen because Kenya Barris' character didn't work. It did not work. Anthony Anderson playing him is better than him playing him.
No, he's a horrible actor. He is a horrible actor. But I don't like the show, period. I think that Quincy Jones' daughter, it just falls flat for me.
Yeah, no, that didn't work for me. A lot of people like it, but I don't really like that. Black AF. I didn't do it.
Yeah, Black AF was just awful. I mean, I think what we need to do. So when we look at what to support, like I didn't like Ava DuVernay's film with that little girl with the white dad. I hated that fucking movie.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
What was the name of that shit? And everyone was like, "Oh, like let's see." It did flopped. She's hit and miss.
I don't know. Well, that's the only one I can say that I did not like. I think when I mean, you know, she's created legacy with When They See Us.
A Wrinkle in Time.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that. Oh, was that Oprah? Was Oprah in that?
Oprah was definitely in that. Everything Oprah is in outside of The Color Purple was garbage.
Yeah, Oprah. See, that's a case. That's a great case in point. Oprah's a lot of things, but an actress is not one of them.
I think she did really well in The Color Purple.
That, I mean, she knew that. I don't think that was really acting. I think she just tapped into her history and she thought about somebody and she was able to recreate that.
You know, I got a beating when I was a kid because I laughed at that.
You laughed at it, or
I laughed at.
Yeah, I didn't see that. It didn't do well at the box office either.
It didn't. It was awful. Like, you know, I think when people saw that white dad, it was just like, okay, like, you know, and that's the thing. Like Oprah, Ava DuVernay, and all these folks, they have this very interesting, and it's room for it, right? I'm not one of these people that feel that everyone needs to be like me and be militant and think like this. I think there's room for people having different opinions on how the race moves forward, but working collectively on one goal. And Ava DuVernay is definitely doing that. I think that there's a place for what she's done, but that movie, her other movies, I mean, 13th Amendment for me, the documentary she did was I mean, it was just brilliant, you know? And so, you know, with that said, I wanted to transition you guys into making you aware of the number of Black senatorial candidates in the nation. And they were on a Zoom call, and we're actually going to be going to Kentucky, leaving this week to meet and have dinner with the Black Senate candidate, as well as highlight some amazing Louisville eateries. And plus, Florida is becoming increasingly the epicenter of the virus. So I need to get out of here. And I hope I didn't catch it at my Juneteenth event, because I hope
I am gone to November. Don't look for me nowhere. Nowhere. I mean, you know, because we're about to become an epicenter. That means that we're about to, just like everybody, you know, Governor Cuomo had to be on every day talking about what was happening in New York, and they did it. They adhered to it, and look, they're back, and you know, they are in a new way. Back is kind of hard, but people have gone back to the city. My best friend in the world. He and like 7 of his friends they rented a house in Star Island for those 2.5 months. And they just and a lot of people did that. They just got out of New York, you know, and they went to places where they could go. And, you know, when I say when I tell you it's a big house, it was a really big house. So everybody could quarantine within the house, be to themselves and not be on top of each other. And, you know, I think that, I mean, just think if that happens here, and 9 times out of 10 is going to, because Xavier Suarez, who had the virus and had to be quarantined, was caught at Swan. What's his name's restaurant? Pharrell's restaurant. You know, having dinner with no mask on with some other people, and they had to shut the restaurant down because they weren't hearing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
come on, lead by example.
No, but the Miami Herald, but Suarez was wrong for that. But the Miami Herald, the way they reported it was so just tabloid-like, and that's it was such a respectable paper. And we really need the Miami Herald to stay respectable. The last thing we need is for the Miami Herald to now be like the Miami Times.
Well, listen, let me tell you something. The coronavirus has been very difficult to all print publications. So y'all need to just pray that the Herald, I'm just saying, that the Herald survives this. Yeah. I
mean, you got to change your business model. You know, the way that they're archaic. You know, they're archaic. And so Anyway,
that's been good for a lot of people. Okay, so we didn't talk about the elephant in the room, which was the Trump
rally.
Rally, right. First of all, I'm just very blessed. I have family in Tulsa, so I was very blessed that there was no harm done to anyone, and people were, everybody went and they celebrated and they got home alive, and all of that fulala that Trump was talking about, that people could, all those, 18,000 people that were filled up that arena, couldn't get in because of the black protesters outside and thugs and this and the other, was not true. But what are your thoughts? We have a president who is completely and totally unhinged. What do you think? Do you think, Starex, that this has moved the needle and that people are going to get out and vote?
No, I don't think so. I think that the only way, the reason why is because Trump is, I use the analogy that Trump is like the white Farrakhan. And the reason that I said that is that Farrakhan is someone who in public you really can't agree with, because you can agree with some of the things he says, but most of the things that he says you secretly agree with. So you walk around and in your mind while Farrakhan's preaching, you're like, man, I'm feeling this, but you would never go out and just preach the way he would preach it. And so in your mind, you agree with him. And I think Trump does that for a lot of white folks, that he goes out there and he says things, and at their core, they're good people. But then there's a level of them that they go, you know what? Trump is saying some real stuff. He might be an interesting character. He steps on his tongue sometime, but you know what? He's saying some real things and is speaking to me. And they go in that voting booth and they vote. You think, and these are people that people that you, and I think that the only way to get around that, Biden, unfortunately, is such an underwhelming candidate, right? Like, he's super underwhelming. And that's why it really depends on who he selects as his VP. So if it's someone that can to get the black vote out, because if he doesn't select the right VP, Trump's going to win again. Yeah, everything is on his VP, and Stacey Abrams is not that pick.
Right. We agree on that. So who do you think is?
Val Demings from Orlando.
We agree on that. Whoa! We need a bell. Ding, ding, ding.
We should have that. But we do agree on things. But yeah, Val Demings is
same page on that one, babe. Yeah.
Think about it. She's law enforcement. So especially during this time, she was a chief of police. Her husband, I believe, is a very high elected official in Orange County. They come from a church-going family. They're pretty much social conservatives, which the nation needs, right? We're so far, and I am so against liberals. Like, I don't want a liberal or a conservative in the White House. I don't like extremes, and I think that we've had enough of extremes, right? President Obama, I'm sorry?
I said we can't deal with too far to either side right now.
Yeah, we can. And so, Trump is going to attack Biden on his record on race. Trump can be considered a racist. However, Trump's racist policies or Trump's racist actions did not affect millions of people. It affected these people that sued him. It affected people that were definitely compensated for proving that Trump was a racist. But that level of retribution has not been provided to the people that were victims of Biden's racism. And so I think that we now,
there on that one. That's a good one. I hadn't thought about that one. That's a good one.
But that's the thing. So now, Jill, you're looking at a situation where this man's running for president. He's incredibly underwhelming. He has done nothing besides have contempt to black people when he speaks upon us. And it was crazy when Charlamagne asked him how arrogant he was, just like, I've done enough for you. I mean, that's literally what he said. Like, check what I've done. That's enough. And so he's against reparations. Then he changed it and was like, okay, I'm for reparations if Native Americans can get a piece of it. And it's just, I mean, it's so I'm scared for this election.
Right.
I'm terrified because Jill, and so this is how Trump, and you're so right about Trump being unhinged. I mean, just look at the guy. Look at this. That's how this is how he left. This is how he left the rally.
I didn't see that. Yeah, because he's done. He's done. He knows it.
I mean, look at this, yo.
Mess.
Donald Trump walked on the south lawn of the White House in Washington early Sunday, June 21st, after stepping off Marine One as he returns from a campaign rally in Tulsa. And that's how he's looking. Look at this.
Yeah, no, he's a mess. It's a mess. He's a mess. They're a mess. It is the lowest of us, is what that is. And however, you know, to your point, the frightening thing is that it's a real possibility. I, you know, wake up screaming in the middle of the night sometimes that I will never forget when he won. I woke up and out of the corner of my eye, I was like, did that screen just say Donald Trump president?
I won money off this election.
Did you? Yeah.
I knew he was going to win. Hillary Clinton was a horrible.
Yeah, it's just no. And I feel like we're in the same place. Joe Biden really is a horrible candidate. And can Val? I mean, of all of the slate, I think that Val Demings is the only one who could pull this off. I will give Amy Klobuchar, although her record is horrifying. I will give her, you know, credit for getting out the way.
Yeah, but it's going to be Kamala Harris. He's going to pick Kamala Harris. Watch.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, because Kamala is palatable to
white
people and those black people.
Yes. And so she, you know, I think he's going to pick her. But hey, guys, I'm going to show you guys the Zoom call on the senatorial candidates, because these black senators, listen, people don't realize that if you have one solid black senator, just one solid one, that woman or man could do damage to a lot, because once you're in the Senate and you're able to introduce bills and you're able to, like, you can do some damage there. So I'm going to show you guys who's running for Senate and the incredible black candidates. And they were on a Zoom call, but we really want to focus on Charles Booker, who is attempting to unseat Mitch McConnell. And that is something that is very important. So here you guys go.
Shouts out to V and Trevor.
Noticed you, Charles, is that I think you cut the single best ad of the cycle.
Oh, this is good. I saw
the statement ad in the state of Kentucky. It was the best ad I've seen this cycle so far. A lot of people saw you as the underdog in that race versus Amy McGrath, who's got that military background, and she's the person that the Democratic Senate Committee seems to be favoring, even though they're not supposed to take sides. But here you are in a poll, out-polling her. What is going on? I even had a celebrity text me and say, what about this Charles Booker fellow? Can you beat Amy McGrath? And how would you go about unseating Mitch McConnell?
Please.
Well, yes, we're going to win this primary. We're standing up as regular people, fighting back for our future, fighting to end generational poverty, address structural racism, and say that outside consultants will not dictate our future. We deserve more than a pro-Trump Democrat. We deserve more than lukewarm responses on ensuring health care for all people when folks are rationing insulin like I've had to do. So we're taking a stand. We're demanding justice for Breonna Taylor, David McAtee, and everyone who's become a hashtag. But we're also understanding we got to get to the root. And the fact is, a lot of people are struggling in Kentucky. Regardless of whether you're from the hood or from the holler, you've been left behind. We've been left behind.
The hood or the holler? I forgot about that one.
So we're saying we're going to be him so that we can transform our future. And we don't care about the big money. We're building this for people. Folks fired up all over the Commonwealth saying, my life matters, that no lives matter until Black lives matter, and that we want a brighter future for all Kentuckians. And you know what? While leaning into that, we've raised nearly $3 million in this month alone. So we're building the.
That's incredible.
We have. We're going to win this primary. And we're going to get rid of Mitch McConnell.
Please, Jesus.
Okay, I was say, please, Jesus, on all that.
For real, man. And that's why we're driving up to Kentucky. I'm too paranoid to fly, so I'm driving.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't want to be trapped in a plane with somebody hacking and coughing in there.
That is like a nightmare.
Right.
Yeah. Luckily, I don't have anywhere to fly to. I mean, you know, anything that I have to do now. Speaking of the Congressional Black Caucus, do you know if the convention is still happening this year?
Oh, I'm not sure. I mean, if it's not, it's no love lost. I mean, they don't do shit. So.
Well, I went last year, and I have to tell you, sadly, I have to tell you that the highlight was the Florida parties.
Yeah, that's all they do. They go up there.
Yeah.
They go up there and they just, it's a joke.
Frederica's panel was, Frederica did the damn thing. She really did. And I was surprised that they did not, she wasn't highlighted the way I think she should have been. But her panels were really, I sat on both of them. I sat for both of them. I wasn't on either one. But I went to see each one of the panels, the one that she did with the role models and then the one she did with Andrew Gillum et al. Were both very good.
Yeah. I mean, Frederica.
I told you about Kamala.
What happened with her?
So that Friday night, the Florida party, shouts out to, you know, Oliver Gilbert and all of them, because when I tell you they did the damn thing, I can't even tell you what they did. I'm going to keep them, because politicians deserve their privacy too. But they had a party, honey. And so nobody wanted to leave, you know, at 1, but we had to leave so we could get up for Kamala Harris's, you know, at 9 in the morning, right? So we was like, we got to go. So everybody went home. We all got, you know, got a little sleep, went to the convention center, 9 o'clock in the morning, 400 Black women standing out there greeted with a sign on the door that said, Kamala Harris will not be appearing today. Thank you.
What she said, they said what?
Kamala Harris will not be appearing today. Thank you.
Are you kidding me?
That was it. When I tell you, so that's why I was very clear on saying those people, because when I tell you every Black woman, I was like, oh, no, she did not. Oh, no, ma'am, no, ma'am. That's not how this is going down. So, you know, 400 Black women turns into 1,000, 10,000 people. Once we go home, we get on the phone and get on Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook. So yeah, Kamala, she don't stand a chance with us.
Yeah, well, she's
but to your point, there were very few substantive. I would go again because I think it's important to be in that energy. I ran into Felicia. I got good pictures of Felicia. I think it's very important to be in that energy because you see what's happening when you're going, oh my God, what is this gridlock about? Well, you see it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or when progress is being made, you see how they're baking the cake. So it is important to go, I think. For those of you who want more information on Charles Booker is only 35 years old. And he is someone who I feel is a refreshing voice in the Senate. This is someone who is balanced, who is aware of his Blackness, and also at the same time aware that he'll be serving in an American Senate. And I think that that dichotomy is something a lot of folks that have some of the views that I have, they're almost anarchists, or they feel that we need to just retract out of the American identity. And I feel differently because unfortunately or fortunately, Black Americans is my ethnicity. My ancestors' blood are in the soil here. This is not something that I chose. It's what I am. And so breaking away from that and giving them the satisfaction of me leaving here and repatriating to a romanticized view of Africa. I want to invest in Africa, parts of Africa, things that make sense, and I want to connect. But even that is a problem for me because I felt more at home going to Haiti because all the Black people on this side of the earth, we're connected. The diaspora, Haiti is our Africa. And so we don't embrace that enough. So you're going to Ghana, and I thought that Ghana shit was so disrespectful. I hated the way Ghana was just it was just so disrespectful. And as a Black American, I was so disrespected because I'm like, first of all, you're only courting us. You're not courting Black Colombians. You're not courting Black Brazilians. You're not courting Black Haitians to come home. You're asking the Black people with money. You're asking the Black people with influence to come to your fucking country and now pump all this money into your country and create this abandonment type
conversation of oh, we're so sorry for raiding your villages 400 years ago and partnering with these white people, because people have to understand white people weren't in Africa throwing nets on people. No, the African kings were raiding other African villages, deposing their kings, chopping their heads off, and carrying us to these white people on those boats. Now, if the kings knew, I'm sure, if they knew that the slavery was going to be the way it was, maybe they wouldn't have done that. But they did it. And so
chains and shackles that they put us in to get us on that boat. I should have told them something, but okay.
Yeah, the moment that they saw what they were doing to us, but they didn't. So now you push this thing talking about come home. That's not my fucking home. You know, actually, when I did my genealogy, none of my ancestry was from fucking Ghana. It was from Senegal and all these other fucking places. So that's number one. Number two, you aren't acknowledging the fact that we were economic, like that. Give us some land. So if you had a fucking proposal that said, okay, Black Americans, we are recruiting engineers, doctors, administrators, teachers, and we are trying to bring that level of Black excellence to our nation to establish a class of people that are going to be able to flourish in your home continent, then I'll come home. But I have no interest in dancing around, and I'm not going to go. Like, that was my thing. I wanted them to advertise it as a vacation, right? Like, don't go that angle. Like, let us come and have a really good time in Ghana because it's an African nation and we want to come spend our money and support your economy because you have some amazing vacation shit for us. But don't do this whole spiritual coming back and, you know, we're sorry and we want, no, you're misleading and disingenuously attracting Black Americans and no other Black diasporic people to come back to the nation. So it's falling on deaf ears for me.
Well, that go in line with that the Baldwin clip, the James Baldwin clip that we played last week because we just started from 1969 when he said, America, white people claim this as their land, but you're not American, you're European. You came from Poland and Ireland, and it's too late for you to go back to those places, just as it's too late for us to go back to Africa. So we will live here together or we will perish. Yes. And that was in 1969. He's like, mark my words. And we're definitely in that space. Who was that? Trevor, I'm with you. Trevor said, I felt so at home in Jamaica. Trevor, amen. Let me tell you something. And to this day, I had like my long-term plan is once I have accomplished the things that I've set for myself here in America, I plan to move to Jamaica, on a mountain someplace, and write books and enjoy nature and celebrate life. Because I think I feel like I will live a longer life in Jamaica. I just loved it. It just felt like it welcomed me. I felt one. And when I went to, you're going to kill me. In Kingston, Strawberry Hill.
Oh, okay.
That was the closest to God I have ever been in the flesh.
Yeah.
I just felt the presence of God in that space. And I was like, yep, this is where, listen, when y'all are looking for me at 60, 65, that's where I'll be.
So
that is my plan.
When I went, Jill, it was the same experience. When I went, I remember getting off the plane in Haiti, and it was, it was spiritual for me because, it was a very, very magical place in the sense of connecting, but the language barrier was my only issue. Right. It was a big, that's a big issue. But when you go to Jamaica and seeing all those Black people, it just does something to you. It's a difference too, because the Black Caribbeans have more of a connection to their African ideology, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why their music is different. That's why their culture is a bit different. And so people don't realize it, but North American slavery was so different, right? We had very, very small slave farms. And in the Caribbean, you had these big, large plantations. And so they were able to keep the drum. They were able to keep some of their religion. They were able to even keep some of the attire and dress from their tribes. And in America, our slave farms were very small. And the amount of policies that were passed in Virginia and all the early colonies, they expressly said you cannot do this. You cannot play your drum. You have to worship this way. You have to do that. And that didn't really happen in the Caribbean in mass like that. So you had this situation. And that's why a lot of Black Americans are also disjointed, because if you had a German slave owner, if you had an English slave owner, if you had a Scottish slave owner, you had to learn how to cook the food in their fashion. You had to learn how to play music in their fashion. And so that's why our music is so different from every other ethnicity on the planet. You know, that's why jazz and our gospel, the tonality of our music, the way that our food is made is so profoundly different. So when you go in the Caribbean, you see a lot of similarities, right? You see a lot of similarities with the rice and beans, a lot of similarities with the pickles and the eppies, and from other cultures. You can go to one island and say, hey, look, we eat this too. But then you come to America, and Black Americans, no one's food on the planet is like ours. I mean, we have food pathways from Africa with the collard greens and the pinto beans and the lima beans and all that good stuff. But the way that it's prepared, the way that we just do everything is so different and unique. And that's why our ethnicity is so complicated when it comes to moving as one. And you have Black Caribbeans who come over, because you don't want, if I'm Caribbean, it's a part of me that wants to support the Black American narrative, but also I don't want to lose myself in a culture that I feel is not a culture, but a reflection of a culture. And that's what they feel, but it's untrue. Black American. I'm sorry.
Grab Camille Thompson's comment.
Sure. She said, we as Jamaicans need to love ourselves more. A lot of Jamaicans think lighter is better. I wish they would stop bleaching their skin. It's embarrassing.
Yeah. And I think, that colorism, that's another one. I'm going to make a note of that. We need to do that show too. That idea of colorism, I noticed immediately when I went to the Bahamas for the first time. And when I went, at the hotel, and you go to the beach, and, everybody that's, wants to braid your hair and selling beads, whatever, were darker skinned. And then when you go on the, on the street, whatever it is, at Bay Street, whatever it is, where all the stores are and stuff, you go in the stores, the great majority of the people, particularly women in there, are light skinned with perms, weaves, etc. And it was really striking to me for the first time, I think, that this is by design, right? Because I guess because we don't have, I'd never been to beaches and all of that stuff, until I got down here to go to college. I'm, from Detroit. I'd never been, Jamaica or Haiti or any of the Caribbean. And that was highly offensive to me. When I got here, when I got to Flomo, and all the guys were calling me Red. What's a Red? I'm like, who is Red? And what is that?
Right.
And like, you Red. I'm like, no, I'm Black just like you. But that in Detroit, that colorism just was not a thing.
And so that's the thing, Joe.
You go, it gets deep.
Listen, so even, my family, and it was the Black American families. The thing is, my sister's your complexion. My mom is lighter. And so Black American families, we don't have these like clans of light-skinned people, because we didn't sit there and go, well, you got to marry another light-skinned person to keep it like that. In the Caribbean, that's literally what they're telling them to do, to marry other light-skinned folk to keep that thing going. And so I've heard Jamaican grandmothers and Cuban grandmothers and Dominican grandmothers, when I was younger, they would tell me to marry a lighter skinned or a white woman, so that my kids' blood can be clean. And this was literally told to me in my face. And it was very hurtful that the colorism in the Caribbean. I Joe, the same experience you had, I had when I went to FIU. I remember meeting the president of the Caribbean Student Association, and he was Jamaican Chinese. And he started telling me about, my friend in high school was Jamaican Chinese. And so we were having a conversation, and then it kind of got heated, because he was just saying like he didn't understand why Black Americans act the way we act, blah, blah, blah. So it was like an ethnic thing that we were dealing with. And I was president of the Black Student Union. And my whole thing was, hey, we need to come together, because you're CSA and we're Black Student Union. But guess what? We need to be one. So the BSU needs to encompass all of this. And they were just like, no, because there's a lot of Caribbean folks that aren't Black and that don't identify with being Black. And I was like, what do you mean? And so he started talking about himself. I was like, wait a second, but in this nation, no one gives a fuck about the shade that you are. If you look black and you're not a passer, you are going to be discriminated against. You're going to have all the things that I have, and there's not going to be any fucking heat lifted off of you. I mean, at all. And so he didn't understand that. And he didn't understand it until he got thrown against a wall by a FIU police officer. And this happened. He got thrown against a wall by a FIU police officer. And the next day, you know, he came and it was a very good conversation. And we started talking about it. And he was like, I knew he did that because I was black. And I was like, you know what? I am so proud of you that you said something, because this nation has a way of diminishing and eliminating this idiotic conversation about shades of blackness. But Caribbean folks, they don't abandon it like that, because you come from an island. If everybody's black, then more than likely you're judged on your merits, and you're judged on skin tone, because there's not enough white people for you to judge against and go, hey, you're discriminating against me. Because at the end of the day, if I live if Miami Gardens is my world and I never leave Miami Gardens, I'm competing against other black people, and I don't know what it's like to compete against a white person.
Yeah.
Nor, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what, I go to a black doctor, a black dentist, a black everything. So I have no idea really of the incredible racism, because I'm only dealing with my people. So I can judge my people off of their class. And that's why in the Caribbean, it's big on class, because we're all black. So what's your class, right?
I delineate myself from the rest of them. And so now it becomes class.
Yes. And so in America, it was very hard for us to have a class system of black people, because we know that Oprah will be discriminated against the same way that a homeless black person to be discriminated against going into a store. You know? And she's a billionaire.
Right.
And so we saw time and time again where black millionaires, very wealthy black people were lynched. These people were lynched because people in the South, they were jealous of them. And that's actual history.
Look at Tulsa. I mean, just right? Yeah, I can't even, we're just so blessed to be in this time, because I can't even imagine what would have happened to us. I've done people like you and I, and on this. We would have died. Yeah,
we would have died. They would have been waiting for me with their posse right outside of that house, and I would have just, and that's so unfortunate.
You know who speaks really well to that topic, as well as Trevor Noah? He has a very interesting perspective. Being, I think is his mother white and his father,
Trevor Noah,
and his father's black. But yeah, I mean, when you say that, I do remember when I was 13, and I brought a boy home, and to meet my grandma and stuff. And when he when I tell you, like, it's just a vibe for me. I like really, 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 really dark skinned guys. Like, really. Like, I just think that ladies, ain't nothing more beautiful than a black man, fresh out the shower, cocoa butter, and that just chocolate. Oh, there's nothing. Can I get an amen for my sisters and my gay men already on here? There's nothing more beautiful than that, right? So, I mean, from the door, I really, really was attracted to really dark-skinned, beautiful chocolate men. And I remember my grandmother saying to me, Nana, she said, I sat down next to her today, and she would say, baby, I'm just going to tell you that, dark-skinned people have a hard way to go in this life. I mean, she literally was whispering in the house. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, and she was like, I just need you to know that. And it never really had any effect on, to this day, I'm well older than that. And I still, I just really am attracted. Everybody has their thing, and I'm attracted to really dark-skinned guys. But now I kind of see it, when I got to college and that whole red thing, and it felt so offensive because it was like red. That's like a rash. That's all I can think of. Was like, damn, okay, well, I need to get more sun down here, because this is obviously not, people don't think that it's attractive to be, this color is deep. Colorism is a deep thing. I put that one down.
But colorism for me has always been so stupid. And I love the fact that like tomorrow I'm gonna post, I'm gonna post my picture. When I was, for some reason, when I was 10 and under, I was just like, I looked just like my mom. So I was light, and it was the weirdest thing. At 11, I just got dark. And so it's the craziest thing. And so it's funny because I remember there was a young girl in my class. Her name was Lakeisha Thompson. She was light skinned, and I liked her. And she moved away. But then when we went to middle school, she came back and she didn't even recognize me because she was just like, "Dang, you got dark." And I was just, I remember hearing her say that to me, and it didn't do anything. I was just like, "Oh, okay." I lived my life in a bubble away from colorism until, I never forget this. A relative of mine who is my mom's complexion. I never forget this. I was dating this girl, and she was very dark, very dark. She's like the color of my dreads. And I never, for some reason, skin complexion has never been a determinant for me. Now I can recognize someone who has beautiful skin, right? So whether you're dark or light, I can say like, my God, your skin is beautiful. And so anyway, this relative of mine was like, "Oh, just be careful when you marry, because you don't want those babies coming out too dark, especially if it's a girl." And I was like, wait a second.
Oh my God. Right. And
I remember I was about to like argue back with this person, but I didn't. I was 22. And it was a senior, in my family, and it was just an eye opener and I started thinking about her life, and I started thinking about what she went through to even say something like that to me in 2002. I just always, me personally, I hate having conversations about Black Caribbeans and Black Americans and colorism, because I think it's so stupid that if anyone has those reservations, they're not going to change, right? They're not going to change their minds anyway. So why discuss it, right? Dark girls have a hard time because they're viewed as unattractive by scores of Black men who praise lighter skinned Black women. And it's not even that they want a white woman. They just prefer that complexion of Black women, like LeBron James' son. Remember he posted that up and everyone went crazy on him, and he was like, "These are the type of women I like." And it was all white, Spanish, and very, very light-skinned Black women. Like, you would be too dark for LeBron James' son. Right. And so it was just like, problematic, where you're thinking like, whoa, I thought LeBron James was this, Black power, whatever the fuck. And now his son has these views. So it brings into question, like, how true are these people really in their commitment to, and I'm not, like I said, I just want our celebrities to move from a space of tweets, symbolism, expressions to actual work.
Yeah, more that I'm thinking about, the beginning of our conversation. And yeah, I think, you are right, because we are in a time such as we were in 1968. So it is incumbent upon those who have the spot do more, go farther. You're right. You're right. It's more than just putting out a song that has references in it that we can sing praise to. You're right. Because of the time, it does demand much more of them. And that's, Davika is love with your skin.
Someone said, Davika said, in transparency, I was disappointed that my son came out light-skinned because how Black culture feminized light-skinned boys and men, as they feel only dark skins equal strength and masculinity. Look at the light skin versus dark skin memes targeted on social media. Well, the thing is that I think there's some truth behind that. And there's truth behind the way light-skinned men act because of the way society treats them. So because the Black culture treats
what they call him.
Yeah, they treat them, and even like the Kappas. I'm a Sigma, and the Kappas traditionally are lighter skin, because of the way, and then we pick at them because we feminize them. They're like, look at the way they're twirling the cane,
They do it to themselves. What I said, what is that? I'm pretty to my left, pretty to my right. I'm so pretty on my side.
Right.
But yeah.
But that's the thing. So you got all these kappas and so like, yeah, like that whole thing. I remember being a kid and the light-skinned guys, they would have to fight more. They would have to, because they would just get picked on. And it was, you know, being Black is so complicated, because when you are different from the stereotypes of what Black people believe, you know, so we're believing our own stereotypes. And then if you are different from that, you are going to be picked on. You're going to have a hard time. Yep. And so for me, I had a really hard time. But, you know, all my friends that saw me grow up, I grew up in these really polarizing communities. One, I grew up in a predominantly white community and immediately grew up in a predominantly Black community. And the financial income of these communities were also different. Unfortunately, the Black community was poor. And it was an example of everything that was very complicated about our race. And so me being an intellectual kid, that was very hard for me being a man. It was one of the hardest things to do, is to be a smart Black man. And most of the smart Black men that grew up in Black neighborhoods, they had a very hard time. It's so complicated. I mean, you got picked on because you were smart. You got picked on because you didn't value materialism. What you valued was different. Anthony Malcolm said, yeah, but in all fairness, we promote parents supporting their children. So with that being said, think about the schools that LeBron's son attends. What do you think are the colorism demographic at these elite schools? So we send our children to these schools and colleges that are known for low percentage of Black people that classify as Black. Someone said, you can't control who your children like. Their tastes are often influences by their circle in school. I'm going to knock against that, only because I never was attracted to white women and I was surrounded by them. Seeing reflections of yourself. I think that seeing reflections of yourself, you see your mother, you see your sisters, you see your family. I hate when people use the excuse that you're attracted to these people that you see all day. How do you explain these football players that grew up in poor Black communities, and the moment they go out, they marry a white woman and they're surrounded by Black women, and they'll have sex with Black women. They'll father kids from Black women. But then when it comes time to marrying Black women, they find a white girl or non-Black woman to marry. That's not true. I don't agree with that. I think that these people select who they select because of their slave brains. Their minds are gone and they don't know what beauty is because they attribute beauty to being white. And that's a big problem. That is a big problem. So I don't agree with that. I don't agree that you are going to be attracted just because you see, because Benjamin Carson was around all white women and he found himself a Black woman. He found himself a Black woman that acts just like him. I don't know how the hell that happened. Yeah. But he did. And that you have to give him credit for that. She went to jail, she plays the fucking flute and it's crazy. I mean, can you imagine their dinner conversations?
No, I don't want to.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, no, I can't. So before we wrap up, I do want to talk about D.L. Hughley, who has been diagnosed with COVID.
Oh, yes.
Those of you who, I'm sure you've probably seen it by now, but he was on stage and passed out on stage, and you got the clip.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Covering, he collapsed during a show in Nashville Friday night. Now he was in the middle of a performance when he seemed to start stumbling over words, and then he fell over. Watch.
Shit. Oh my God.
He said, I got you, and let him fall. Yeah.
And his team and him, Hughley said he was suffering from extreme exhaustion and dehydration due to work and travel. He was discharged from the hospital, and Hughley went on to Instagram to share that he also tested positive for coronavirus and is asymptomatic.
I didn't have difficulty breathing. a cough. I didn't have a low-grade fever. I still don't have a fever. I didn't have a loss of smell or taste. Apparently, I just lost consciousness. So, in addition to all the other stuff you have to look out for, if your ass pass out in the middle of the show on stage, you probably need to get tested.
He looked really, really
exhausted,
tired. Yeah. And that's, you know, that's scary because he said he had absolutely no symptoms other than he passed out on stage. That's frightening. Because what if he had been on stage? What if he had been alone?
Right.
That's scary.
And the thing is that, you know, I'm just tired of all of this. I mean, this virus is, you know, that's the only thing Trump said in that speech. I love the fact that he keeps saying Chinese virus and Chinese plague, because all of these fucking liberals, right, they are trying to disassociate. The virus came from fucking China and it was an attack. You know, like, stop this. Because when it's West Nile virus, when it's all the viruses named after black people and shit, you don't fucking change the name. Nigerian flu and all this other stuff, African this. But now you want to
I don't
know,
really
and then you know, you want to say
I mean, it doesn't. I mean, how does it serve us? I mean, you know what I'm saying? It don't mean no difference. No, where it came from, it is killing us, and we need to be dealing with that. And and it is just this double whammy for me. I think we talked about that briefly. Right, I'm exhausted, Davika, as well. I agree with you, and I'm exhausted at this double whammy of this desensitization of Black death. On one hand, we're seeing, you know, hospitals lined up with Black people who are dying. Then the next scene, you know, back from commercial break, we're seeing Black men dying in the streets at the hands of police. And it's just, you know, Black death on a loop. And I really believe like it is, you know, it's deliberate to desensitize us yet again to seeing Black people die.
They don't care, and we don't care, and we have to learn.
What was it, Saturday? That from the time I got up to the time I had to go to the radio station, I had seen that clip of Rayshon Brooks 58 times. It had run on CNN. 58 times in one day, and that was like, what time did I leave the house? 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. You were gonna say, it's just something about this, you know, the media, the coverage of this, and the fact that we really have no. What do you think about Roland Martin? I was gonna say we have no space to go to, but Roland Martin is holding that space.
He is, and he doesn't get the support. You know, our show is like a little more watched. It's just like, you know, like that's a problem. You know,
I mean, I've known Roland Martin for a long time, and he and Angela Rye both. They're a little shady. When I did the press conference for Chevron Jones's the event he does every year, and they were there to speak, and they were speaking before the Black media, right? I was hosting the press conference, and when I told them, you know, these are the Black publications and you know, etc. in our community, it was almost like they both went, oh, and looked down at their phones like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't as important all of a sudden because it was just Black media. I lost it for both of them in that moment. I was like, and then he just kept coming for me, that whole thing, to a point I was like, Roland, you want to get up here and do this? Roland. Like I said, I've known Roland Martin a long time.
Well, you know, I think that, like, I'm going to show you guys this, the Black media, and you put a good point. Let me show you how disrespected the Black media was at the red carpets, just so you guys can see. Let me show them. I can
tell you stories.
And we're going to get into that as our closer for today's show. Let me show you guys just how disrespectful some of our artists were to our people who are running their media platforms. Here you guys go.
Tonight was the 62nd annual Grammy Awards. And it makes it the 14th year that Black Tree TV has been there to cover the Grammys. Most things haven't changed over the years. I mean, this year was especially somber with the death of Kobe Bryant, but the past years we've had the death of Whitney Houston and the death of other great people preceding the Grammys. That's made it somber night. So that's not totally unusual, as extraordinary a tragedy as it was and was Kobe. But I want to show you guys what really happens on the carpets, because I usually give you guys a clean edit. You see the people we talk to, not really the people we don't talk to. But there's a struggle, especially for Black media. The struggle is multifaceted. First, there's the placement that we're on the carpet, which is usually we're all bundled near the end of the carpet. Second, is the publicists that represent the talent you can see in some of these videos. And third, it's the talent themselves who make conscious efforts or lack of effort to take time to speak to the few Black-owned media. And when I say Black-owned media or Black outlets, there's not more than 4 or 5 of us at most at any of these Grammys, and they skip us really.
Okay, that's exactly what you get. Yes, and that girl just came out and she tried it.
I'm gonna show your favorite artist. Hey, roll camera. Are you rolling? Hey, Gucci. Come on, man. Do it for the Black media, Gucci. This is Black-owned media, Gucci. Don't just do people. Come on, Gucci. Come on, Gucci, man. Come on, the hood right here. Hey, Gucci, I was in 6 Southwest with you. Gucci, I was in 6 Southwest.
That he never lied. He never lied.
Don't just do Vulture. Don't just do people. Don't just do people, Quavo. Come on, Quavo.
Wow.
Hey, like that. I'm calling you.
Just like they don't even say, baby. Oh my God. If I could tell you the stories.
Aquí, por favor. Bueno, para Sudamérica. Una preguntita más. Hay un trancón. Me too, though. Me too.
Why the fuck?
I'm late too.
Do they even have the fucking Black people and the Spanish people separated from the white people?
So they can say that they made a space for you.
One question, man.
There's one question for we saw the Yahoo, man.
How many Black people she stopped by? Let's do it.
Oh no, just one.
And they always do that, like, oh, but they got to do this, and I was like, well, then why am I here? Damn it, you're supposed to do everybody. Because you get a whole list. Oh, you didn't touch the nerd. You think that you, Tracey, have experienced this? No. Girl, they'll run right past you. If you, especially radio, if you're not New York or LA, get it. Have to throw something. I won't do it.
Black Tree TV, Black-owned media, man, Black-owned media, bro. Come on, give us something, bro. I have to run. All right.
At least he's, you know what, and you now that he gets props, even though he got his own cute quest. No. And see, publicists, that's why we call their ass on the carpet all the time, because they come with this bullshit. It's like,
who the fuck is that?
There's probably a publicist or some handler.
I'm saying, who is that person with the dread?
Oh, I'm so sorry. This, that, and the third. It's like, bitch, you all set this shit up. You know we're gonna be here. You need to make. They want to make it seem to their bosses like they're doing their job.
Why she gotta be? That man was answering the questions.
Thank you.
So before I go, I showed you some of the comments, things that happen. It's not to.
Oh, Julia, wait for it, because you know
a lot of great people.
That media room has changed hands. Oakland, wait for it.
Hold on.
Isaac Hayes' kids, to Sheila E. To there's a lot of great people that do stuff. We appreciate that, but there's too many people, especially as soon as they hit that little eclipse button where they feel like they got past the black audience that has no time for us anymore. And it goes in music, it goes in film. I mean, I could talk about Sterling K. Brown all day. I'm starting to call people out this year. So, you know, you can but the facts is gonna be, the camera's gonna keep rolling while y'all walk by this year.
Amen.
Get on that black righteousness stuff and talk about how we need our own thing and our own stuff when y'all don't even take the time to stop.
I love
for the
Misty
black-owned
Copeland.
media.
Mm-hmm.
I say peace.
And you saw her publicist sent her over there. You know, so Misty Copeland is dope as all get out.
She really is, and she's,
You know,
very. When you,
I probably have seen him on the carpet before, but I want to look him up because he told the truth. I mean, that's the first one I've seen that actually, what are you doing?
I got some shit in my beard, and I'm fucking depressed. Over the weekend, I took my my 35-year-old cousin, who I'm only 2 years older than, out for Father's Day. And he's a personal trainer. You know, people think Rod's in the NFL all the time, and he does look relatively young, but not that much young. The fucking guy, I went to the bathroom, and he tells Rod, oh, he recognized me from Facebook, and he was like, can I get a picture with your dad? It was so embarrassing. I was like, what the fuck? For real, Joe. I'm like,
look here.
I was like, your dad? The fuck?
Yeah, it's like, after you get past 40, everything's
I'm not even 40. I'm 4 years away.
Oh, you're not even 40 yet.
Like 3 years away from that. Like, this is crazy. Literally. Hold on, Joey. Like, for real. Let me. You gotta see that.
Where is who was that said that Tyler is black media friendly?
Others who were doing on eateries for helping out with 10 years old.
And here we go. This is what happened this week.
My children.
Very embarrassing. Hold on, Joe. I was so upset, and now I'm serious. I gotta get it together.
37 years old, and I'm 3 years older than Rod. Now, this young kid was out and came out and told Rod the following. You got to hear this. And I want you guys to tell me if I look that old. if I look that old, then please let me know. Hold on 1 second. What happened? Like for real?
No, he went in the bathroom and the guy started talking to me. He was like, man, you mind if I get a picture of you and your dad?
And wait, you and your dad when you come out of the bathroom? Okay. No, for real. I had to go live and just ask you guys that. Like, and then he made it even worse. What did he say as far as, I was like, what are you talking about? I'm 3 years old. This is my cousin. I'm 3 years older than him.
Ronnie said it's the beard. It is the beard.
No, man, I'm not saying that. He's just that he's in shape. It fits.
That is funny.
It was, so the kid just kept, he was like, oh man, no, you just give off a real old vibe. You just give off old vibes. And so I laughed because I've dealt with, listen, Joe, I've dealt with that my entire life. I remember I went to I never forget this. I went to and that's probably why I've gotten, because I don't look older. I've looked like this forever. So when I was like, the only difference was my beard's gotten bigger. But you look at pictures from like 2005 to now, and it's like
exactly the same.
It was the same. And so yeah. I was 23 years old, and I went to Islands of Adventure, and I was with all these kids and the counselors. Anyway, it was this woman. It was like a little game where they'll guess your age. And if they get within 2 years, like you don't win. But if they don't, you pay money. And if they're far off, you win this big bear or whatnot.
Right.
And so all the kids was like, Mr. Starks, you go. They're not gonna be able. And so I went up there Listen, Jill, I went up there and literally, like I was talking to the lady, and I think that's what it is too. Like initially, when you're a black male and you don't participate in a certain culture that they expect they don't know what to think. So I remember she was like, oh, so she guessed my age. Jill, you know how old this lady told me I was at 23 years old? She gave me 10 years. she said 33.
Wow.
And I was like, damn. But I mean,
maybe, yeah. I thought you were older than you are.
It's crazy. But what do you think about
what do you
think about this weekend, all the Father's Day brunches? There's this place called Victory Lounge. It's black owned. Chef Tobias was a former NFL player. He opened this spot. And I was a little upset this weekend. So I initially took Rod there. And Jill, I go to I call to make not even to make a reservation. I called to see if they were open. I say, hey, are you guys open today? And they were like, yeah, we're running our brunch. We're running our Sunday brunch. I was like, wonderful. So I go down there, and the girl who shouldn't have been at the front, she's like, oh, we're packed. And I was like, wait, it's nothing but empty tables. I'm looking at all, and she's like, all reservations. So I was like, wait, so today was reservation only? And she's like, yeah. So I was like, but when I called, I wasn't informed that. So you had all these people, like, mind you, Victory Lounge is black. Well, I don't know. I know Chef Tobias is involved, but I need to research to find if it's actually black owned and that he's just not, either a minority part. I need to find that out. But anyway, I was really upset that I was turned away. And then I went to Uninhibited Honey, which is black owned.
I never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's black owned. It's owned by a football player by the name of Carlos Dunlap. He is a really great brother. But I had an Asian waiter that didn't speak English that well, and it was really complicated. The whole experience was complicated.
Where is it?
Uninhibited Honey's in Miami. So you just take a 95 until it turns into US 1. No. It's in that area. Like once you take 95 and it ends, it's like right there. It's by the Children's Trust almost.
Okay. I know where that is.
It's over there.
Really? So what Uninhibited Honey? What?
Yeah, I mean, so it was, we promoted it, and there were black people there. I was unhappy with my food Sunday. Unfortunately, I was unhappy with it. I was unhappy with it. And it was, yeah, Carlos played with the Gators. He's a really good guy, really great. But yeah, I think, put it like this. The item that I ordered, I shouldn't have ordered. I should have stuck with, they have a chicken and waffles that's pretty good. I got the pancakes. Then I got a panini, but it wasn't a panini. It was a sandwich that looked like a big deli sandwich from Piccadilly's. And I was told a lady, and she was like, I was like, this isn't a panini. And so she's like, oh, well, this is how we make them. And I was like, okay, let me explain something to you. I cannot call a pizza a fried chicken meal, and then you come get the pizza, and I go, well, this is how we make our fried chicken. You can't do that. It's not a panini, So I had to wait. And you know what else is really awful? The fact that I'm a food writer, Jill, and now it's 5 years in this profession. When folks see black people that have knowledge of food and wine and things that we're not supposed to have knowledge in, they get very racist. They get very offended because they start acting as if you're not supposed to be in that space. Someone said, I used to live in DC, and he's based out of there. Seemingly good food, but the culture of his dining experiences is too ghetto for my taste. Yeah, Tobias is definitely, his food was good. I got, so just so you know, I got a to-go. When she told me that, I still wanted to support the black-owned business. So I told Rod, I said, listen, I'm going to get a shrimp and grits to go because I wanted to still buy something from there. And the shrimp and grits were pretty decent, but yeah, Uninhibited Honey is more of the palate profile is more of a white American white American experience, you know,
Gotcha.
dining experience. Yeah.
Now, you know that Harold's Chicken is open, fried chicken is open on South Beach.
Yeah, I talked about that.
Didn't we talk about it Friday? And I was going to run down there, but I realized that we're not supposed to be spending no money. Speaking of which, 2 things, and then we're out of here. Are you familiar with Eat Okra?
Yes.
I wonder if now are the Eat Bro people connecting with, because a lot of these pop-up kind of apps telling you where all the Black restaurants are independent, but I'm wondering, Eat Okra seems Eat Okra. Eat Okra.
Oh God.
It's the most popular one. And I'm wondering if they're gonna like all kind of
Oh God.
that's not a vision. That's not a vision we need. Are they gonna all team up? Are we gonna team up together?
Oh Jesus.
So that there's like one good resource of where and what is on the list today where we're not supposed to say, Yolanda Turner, girl. Let me tell you something. Harold's fried chicken that make you leave your man. Okay.
Oh man.
Harold's fried chicken is so good. And when you're in Chicago, everybody has their favorite Harold's chicken location.
Yes.
Mine is off of 83rd.
That's the popular one. That's the popular
but yeah, I'm wondering though, because all these apps are popping up, and rather than be centralized, they're a little here and there. So does anybody have that list? Do you have that list for this week of where we're not going to shop? So because I haven't got my Harold's chicken yet, I'm gonna have to. I guess we can we go there now? I don't know where we are.
Yeah. So I went and May Rain, just to give her a shout out. May Rain was our host for our Juneteenth celebration over at Dukanoo. And those of you who don't know, Dukanoo has a new chef by the name of Mark Cameron, and they've done a great job at improving that food. It is a big improvement. Very, very happy that Mark is there. And the oxtails are delicious. The rice and peas are delicious. The jerk chicken, jerk pork. I mean, he's really throwing down. So Dukanoo, kudos to you guys for getting the food together. It's a beautiful space, and it was amazing. It was amazing. Someone put for Harold stood in line for over 2 hours in LA for some damn wings. They were good though. Don't know if I'll do that again.
I'm not standing in line for 2 hours for nothing. I would call them ahead of time and make sure that because when I looked at the logo, I was like, that is not the same Harold's chicken. But apparently they have a new logo. Their new logo looks like Harrods of London. Did you notice that?
It does. It does.
So when I saw it, I was like, that is not the same. But anyway, there's May Rain. And Tora says she loves Dukanoo. All right, so does anybody have that green list of what the deal is today, where we are not spending money today?
I mean, do you think those things are even important? I mean,
I think the economic boycotts, if we ever do one completely, would really, it will touch the needle. And I think that it will impact, if the PR is right behind it, it will impact businesses to understand that yes, we are a predominant force in their income. People don't understand nothing but money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And until we can do something that's going to make people go, ruh-roh, okay, let's go talk to the Black people and find out what they want.
I mean, over the weekend,
not shopping at Walmart for 5 days. Look at our
Let me show you this before we go. Over the weekend, there was a gas station that was discriminating against these folks that were doing a Juneteenth bike ride in Miami Gardens.
Yeah, see, and that should be on our list of do not go to this place, period. They're not, I mean, all the speakers in the world, we got some of the greatest orators ever to hold a microphone. But damn it, until we put the pain in the purse of America's economy, ain't none of this is going to ever change.
Yeah, here you go. This guy was local. Hold on.
Oh, Lord, that was 2 hours ago.
Here you go. Hold on.
Yep, Nick Grant. Raceway. Well, that's part of the problem right there. What are they saying? He looked familiar. I can't hear it. No, Anthony. What about it? Can anybody hear Starex? Or is it just me? Oh,
There's no out there though. You see something at 3 at a time on here, y'all? Not at all. Now y'all know I don't never come on live by nothing like this. You know that. Look at all these people out here, man. They shut the doors on us, dog. Just want to get some Gatorade, man. Just want to get some Gatorade. Look at this. Look at all the money you could have made. Look at all the money you could have made. Going to the movie. All the money. Look at the Jit, man. Look at Jit, man. You shut the doors on us, man. 183rd and 7th Avenue, y'all. Don't shop here.
Wow.
Let's go. Take your money elsewhere. Let's go.
I know that's right.
Look at all these black folk out here with the police escort. You shut the doors on them. This is what we talk about. This is what we talk about 3 at a time, man. 3 at a time. 3 at a time. Just want some hydration. They shut the doors on them. No, man. That ain't right. That ain't right. Right here before we go. Right here. Right there, man. Right there, man. There you go. Y'all shut it.
Yeah.
Shut it. We take our money elsewhere.
Please.
Ain't no professionals out here riding like we some thugs or something like that, man. We ain't no thugs. We out here riding, man. Having a good time. Juneteenth. We in mind of God. Yeah, y'all shut it, man. Yeah.
You know, Oliver, please. That's your friend. Send that to him.
Well, the thing is that there's a black-owned convenience store on 441 right down the street from there, and I let them know that. I let them know where the black-owned store was. I let the folks who were riding in that caravan know. And so, why didn't you go to the black-owned store? I mean, you might have a good reason for not going. Huh?
I mean, but did they not? I could not honestly tell you if I was driving down, 183rd and 7th Avenue, I would know where the black-owned business is. I would know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the store definitely wasn't even practicing social distancing at 3 at a time. That's not the recommendation for a store that size. However, if you have your mask on, which they did, we need to protest that store, and we need to make it a big deal. So I'll do a flyer. I'll contact the creator of that video, get more info, do a flyer, and then we'll boost that around. I mean, I think that discriminating and it's so sad how when we are discriminated against, we use the comparison of what we think people think of us. When he was like, we're not thugs.
Right.
It's so sad. It's so fucking sad that
it wouldn't matter if I was a thug. I mean, it's like, I still need a Gatorade right now.
Right.
Yeah.
I hate when we do that. I hate when we do that, because it's like you are still in your mind separating yourself
from
the other end of your people.
And the thug, because you just out here riding the bike with the kids, where the thug is gonna come in there and rob you. I mean, that's all that says. That's and we gotta be careful of how we translate our language. But no but. There's no but to that.
Remember how when we put the thing up about ice cream heaven, and immediately people were like, we do it to our own people. And I was like, the guy wasn't even black that did it.
Yeah. That oh, by the way, are you all open?
We are not only open, we're booming. We our followers, I was just so grateful. They ended up paying for everything. Every single damage. And we had about a couple of dollars left over that we're going to do a customer appreciation day and give some free ice cream out to some kids, some seniors, and healthcare workers. And it was so moving, Joe. I mean, I didn't anticipate that. One of our followers, I didn't even hook up our bank account to take the money, but one of our followers set up a GoFundMe, and she raised the money.
Well, and that was, I told you on Friday, one of our viewers was like, could you put your Cash App up because we want to bless you? And I was like, I didn't even think about it. And yeah, like 3 people put money in my Cash App.
That's incredible.
God love you. God love you. Thank you. I mean, because you don't think about it. And I think part of it, I will tell you all briefly, and we're out of here. Starex, I was very honest with Starex when we started this, because one of the things that I love about him is that Starex knows how to go get that money, period. As long as I've been in the business, that's always been like that. Really, it might be being a woman, it might be, being part-time for like all my damn life. But that's always been that thing, right? Like, you need to, hopefully you'll just see my value and then you'll see why you have to pay me. And that shit has never worked. Okay.
We need our followers. I mean, even with this show, right? Like, in order for us to grow this show, and we'll launch that initiative after the first 2 weeks. I just wanted to get through.
Get out here. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. The fact that somebody would even mention it. You know what I'm saying? That is foreign to me.
Yeah.
I mean, that you being here is like, oh, okay.
I mean, I think, but you got to think about it. I think what makes our morning show definitely going to be unique. I mean, we are a food Black focused show, and number one, and we veer off food a lot. But tomorrow's show, for sure, we're going to look into more in depth the Black senatorial candidates across the nation, and then we're also going to start looking at our local elections. Not having opinions per se, but offering what these people are suggesting that is going to improve their neighborhoods. And so our neighborhoods of North Miami Beach, Miami Gardens, Opelika, Miami, the commission's race in the city of Miami, these are very, very important races. And the judge races. And we're going to have all those people on, and we're going to ask them those hard questions that other radio stations or other morning shows probably won't ask. We don't have time to play around with you. We need to know what you're going to do for our communities here in South Florida, and specifically what you're going to do once you get in that goddamn seat. Because when they get in that seat, everything changes.
Yeah, because I told you that last election season, I will honestly say that my sensei, my mentor, she really was like, never let anybody sit in front of you and know more than you do about what you're about to talk about. And I just, I've been, asking questions for 30 years, damn near. And so a lot of people that I should have researched, I didn't before they sat down with me. And I'm over it now. I regretted it at the time, because when they got in office, they did exactly what they said they weren't going to do. And we have such a responsibility in these spaces, particularly on Hot 105 and 99 Jams really are the voices of the Black community. So it's really important to vet people before you give them access to, all of the people in the airwaves, because they trust you. They trust me. You trust me on Hot Talk to ask the questions that you would ask and that you need to know, and what's going to make your community better. And so, it's a lot of soul searching, but a lot of times that has to happen, Starex. I think that, sometimes you got to fall on your own sword, to really, really see how pivotal it is that you do vet the people who will step up and stand for you in your community. So I'm really looking forward to this season. Let's just say that.
Wonderful. Someone put, Ice Cream Heaven definitely has dairy-free products. We have vegan turnovers. We have vegan pastelitos. We have vegan ice cream. We're working on vegan churros. So there's definitely options vegan-free. And our vegan ice cream is delicious, by the way. We have chocolate, strawberry, and vegan caramel. So definitely. Ooh, anyway.
So we have an ice cream social, sir, and do that. No, I haven't come yet. I have to come through. Aren't you next to Sundays?
We're across the street from Finger Looking in Miami Gardens.
Oh, you're down there. Oh, yeah, okay.
27th Avenue.
Everybody talks about the lines at Sundays, but
I mean, I love it. I think Sundays is our Franklin's in Austin. Sundays is our Sylvia's in New York. I mean, it really.
Oh, no.
Well, no, I'm saying in the sense of the way people line up for it.
Oh, okay.
Not about the flavor.
Hopefully they'll expand because they just need more seats in there.
Who, Sundays?
Yeah.
They are. They're actually going to be moving to the former Ruby and Jeans location.
Oh, praise God.
It is
now
beautiful.
That is going to be fantastic.
And not only are they moving there, they're going to be parking across the street at the Church of God in Christ property. They're renting that property and have valet parking for folks.
That's going to be dope.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so exciting. So we need to have them on. Well, that's my coworker now.
Who is that?
Oh, Trey. It's my coworker. Run down there.
Yeah. But yeah, they're building that. And, also there's a brand, there is a brand opening at the old root beer spot that across the street from Miami-Dade.
That's E-Class. I've been waiting for that to open for a minute. What is he doing? What's the
breakfast? Brunch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Breakfast and brunch.
Awesome.
And I'm really, and E-Class has a big announcement coming up. I'm not going to share it, but when he allows me to share it, I will let everyone know. It's a game changer. E-Class.
That one.
What'd you say?
I said I've been waiting for that one. There was a photograph about 2 years ago, foretelling that this upcoming announcement. Yeah,
it's huge. And the way that this guy moves, I have been asking E-Class, and then his brother opened a spot. For those of you who may not have visited, it's a place called Studio 183 on the corner of 441 and 183rd Street in Miami Gardens. Yeah. And now they're serving breakfast, Jill. They're serving breakfast. Yeah.
Okay, that might work for me. I've been over there a couple of times for birthday parties and stuff like that. Feezy invited me over. And then a lot of people in there that I know from the club scene that used to work in, other clubs. So yeah. I have a thing about small clubs. I'm really kind of claustrophobic in
no, I understand.
Yeah.
But that place,
we have to do that one morning.
So that place, Jill, they, what I like there is they have a steak and egg tortilla wrap. And it is, Jill, it is amazing. It's amazing. So I would say Miami Gardens is missing. And I was happy to see Freezy do that, because that's the thing that's missing. The things that was missing in Miami Gardens ecosystem, which is building their food ecosystem, is missing somewhat of a formal steakhouse type fare. I'm looking for one of those to open up very soon. And I wanted to see a more of a quick casual spot. And I think Sundays kind of fill the need for the sort of quick casual fare. So Sundays is there. Your Rumba is more of the chef inspired space. So if you want something that's like really, really great food, your Rumba is a Dominican restaurant, but Chef Danny Dominguez does a good job at executing more elevated cuisine. So I do like your Rumba in Miami Gardens. There's another lounge opening, Jill, that's in the plaza next to the Miami Gardens City Hall. I haven't been there yet, but it's a lounge and it's opening there. Lorna's, hey, I went to Lorna's on Saturday for their conch soup, and it was delicious. It was really good. I mean, no, Joe, it was amazing. So they offer this conch soup only on Saturdays, and it's just they start off with a water-based broth, and she boils her vegetables, she boils her potatoes, sweet potatoes. The conch flavor is there, and it forms this incredible, just delicious harmony of flavors. It's really, his mom, and she has the dumplings in there. It's just delicious.
Oh, I have to try that.
I got some in the fridge right now. I'm gonna eat that.
Have a takeout? Do they have a takeout?
They do. But I mean, you go right in, and the podium is right there. You can just order it.
Yeah.
Now tomorrow, Jill, we're gonna be highlighting who we ranked as number one, the number one Black-owned restaurant in the city of Miami, which is a spot called Côte Gourmet. And Côte Gourmet is run by Chef Amina, who is a European trained chef from Africa. She's from Senegal.
No, it says in Miami Shores.
It's in Miami Shores, yeah. And it's a beautiful space. Now she changed the dynamic of what they do. So initially, and I'll pull them up so you guys can see. I think they changed the dynamic of what they do, because initially it was a restaurant that you just kind of you just went into, right? And you ate. Now it's more of a European type vibe where it's a supper club. So you pay a certain amount of money, and she's open only for takeout for lunch. Let me show you guys this lady. Hold on one second, and then because you can pass by there for lunch today. And I think we should start doing it as well, like giving people really great lunch options. But so here you go. Let's go down to. This is her. This is the interior, and you know, someone wanted to know like the criteria of how we rated these restaurants, and this is her interior, and it's more like a Parisian little cafe, white tablecloth. This is the chef. Her name is Chef Amina, and this is the type of fare that you can expect from her.
I love a good seared tuna.
Right? Look at that.
Yum.
Steak. And she does
jerk. Instead of
you know, so that spot, you know, that spot is what she's doing is she's offering dinner service every night, and it's a menu. You can choose the deal where it's a 7-course meal, and that's $72 for the 7-course meal, or you can do a la carte. I chose to do the $72, and so we're going to be going live there tomorrow. I chose to do the $72 one because it was great, and it gives you this journey of all these amazing flavors, and you have a real dinner experience. I think we need that, right? And it's so great to have a Black-owned space that offers an upscale dining experience for those people, you know, want something different.
Have you been to food porn?
Yes.
Did you like it?
It was good. I wish that they could open every day, you know?
I know. I like the experience of that.
Yeah.
I would love for us to do, Black folks, there to be a nice food porn like that. That would be really interesting.
Jill, you know what I like what's happening in Black food right now, specifically across the country, right? You, number one, have options. You know, there was never a day in Miami. I remember when we first started Hungry Black Man, and I'm not saying we were scraping at the bottom of the barrel, but it was like pulling teeth to find really great Black-owned spaces. And so I want people to realize that it was the celebration of food from our people that really inspired a lot of these chefs and a lot of these owners to start opening spaces in Miami, because they didn't realize Miami has a robust Black food culture.
Exactly.
And so the work that you've done, the work that I've done, all these things from the Miami Gardens Food and Wine, and like these things growing, it creates spaces for investors and for folks to come, for heralds to come and say, hey, look, I have an audience.
Right.
Now, where they fucked up is that they don't plug into the Jill Tracey. So you come
I had no idea there was a Harold's Chicken in Miami Beach.
Yeah. And they're gonna, so from one little video, they ran out of chicken on yesterday.
Look at that.
One little video we put up, and they really rated Ronnie's Burgers. Ronnie's Burgers was overwhelmed, and people love it. And it's just, I'm so happy that a lot of folks Black folks from down south, they can go to the beach because there's no options for them. Down south is nothing's down there.
Yeah, I can't. Nothing takes me down there.
Nosberry.
My foot and ankle doctor is down there, and I happened to pass Salty Donut down there, and I was like, oh, well, they're moving up this way, but yeah, no, there's nothing.
Nosberry is good.
There's not a lot of us down there either. That could be.
But there is though, and I remember, Perrine, Ghouls, Homestead, Florida City.
That's even farther.
Yeah. But they're there, and there's Blacks in South Miami as well. We just don't have good restaurants down there. I mean, the restaurants we have down there are really like hole in the walls and greasy spoons, like just small mom and pops. But
the eco structure is changing. You are doing a big part to facilitate that. So shout out and mad love on that one. And we are going to get off of this live before 12 o'clock.
We're great. We did a good job today.
Right? So listen, thank you guys as always. Bring a friend, tell a friend. We appreciate having you. And yes, our conversations are very much like yours. They start in one place and they go all over the place, but they always end up right where we are. So we are glad that you are here with us and that you are sharing. And we got an election coming up. We got a lot of stuff coming up that we are here for it all. So love you, mean it. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Starex, I'll send you some stuff. You said you're going, where are you going to cook gourmet tonight?
No, I'm going tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you invite me, maybe I'll join you.
No, so this one's like the photo shoot and all that stuff.
Oh, you're just shooting.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
when I dine, that we'll start doing our lives. We probably should do our lives at some breakfast spots, dairies. It's just that Jill, I'm trying to get on this health thing, man. It's just
you and both are not. That's what I'm saying. We have to, but we integrate that. You know what I'm saying? That's the one issue that we always have with the attempt to lose weight or reduce or whatever, is that you like isolate. I'm not going to eat anything. But then you go back out and eat the shit and gain all the way back. So there's gotta, I'm really in that space of like integrating it into how am I going to eat the rest of my damn life? Yeah. All this it's not good, and it's starting to take a toll on my system.
No, we're going to get it together, but I do like the fact that we can go live from some of these Black-owned restaurants that are doing some great options. So fresh squeeze.
Trevor said Dairies is right by his house, so you're gonna have to come hang out with us at Dairies and have some fried fish and grits.
We'll get. You know what? We'll get that done. Damn. Yeah. It's just that, like I said, I really digestively, like, I need to do some gut health stuff. I really, eating all this stuff. You gain weight. You have to learn to have balance. And I run so much that now my knees are shot. So I can't exercise. I'm not that young anymore. So before I would just run it off, right?
Yeah.
Now I run it off. My knees hurt. So now I got to walk. Walking's longer. The gyms are closed. So I'm working out in the back of my house. But I'm going to get there because I'm telling you, Jill, even though I was laughing, that was really glaring. And I don't want to be fucking 37 and having someone's call a 35-year-old, I'm his goddamn dad. Like, that's a problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and so all of this is a journey. And, if they're down to ride with us, then let's go, because we're all in that same space, and it's not about, right. I have done and been paid to do every diet on the planet. I can tell you that it doesn't work. A lot of people think, oh, well, quick weight loss, they paid for you to do. Yeah, they did. I lost 50, 60 pounds. And as soon as I got off that, I gained 80 back.
But you saw that arrogant white woman that was commenting. She was so fucking disrespectful, and she inboxed me. And I should do what Janae Tate did, but I didn't want to do it. She's just going on my lives. Eat healthy. You need to go eat healthy. And I was just like, okay, first of all, I'm highlighting these Black-owned businesses, and consumers have a decision to make whether or not they're going to eat this stuff every day. And guess what? If you made up in your mind that you're going to eat fried fish every fucking day, no one's going to stop you. Black people might as well get that fucking money. So at the end of the day, she was just so arrogant, and Black women peep that. And it was funny. They start commenting on her. And I said, listen, just inbox me if you want to do something. So I was like, well, what is your profession? And in the inbox, she goes, I said I was a dietitian. So I just stopped talking to her. I was just like, okay.
And scene. There's nowhere to go with that one.
At all.
I mean, I think, you got to eat to live. That was a book once, but it's a whole nother meaning. You really do have to eat to live. And, nobody is never going to have another piece of fried chicken. You know what I'm saying? But a multi-cooker has taught me how I can have a chicken breast and a Japanese yam and some carrots with nothing on it and be real happy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a balance. It's a real balance. So
I think some people should do vegan days. Like I do vegan 3 times out the week. So really, when they see my reviews, those are my meat days. And so when you don't see me doing a review, those are my those are my a diet days. So I find this balance where I know, hey, look, I'm going to eat a lot this day. So tomorrow I'm going to be on a caloric deficit, right? Like I can't eat 2,500 calorie. It's going to be a 1,500 calorie, right. But I think tomorrow I'm going to try my best to find someone health conscious, because tomorrow needs to be health and elections.
Let's do it.
All right, guys.
12 o'clock. Love you, meet it.
Take care. Bye-bye.
See you tomorrow. Bye.